The instant transmission should have taken half a second. Krillin had done it 1,000 times. Place 2 fingers on Goku's shoulder, feel the instantaneous shift between locations, arrive at the next training spot. Simple, routine. This time, something went wrong. The familiar sensation of molecular displacement stretched longer than it should have. Krillin felt Goku's Kai signature slip away like water through fingers. The sensation of movement became a sensation of asterisk falling through layers of reality that shouldn't exist. Colors that had no name streaked past his closed eyelids. Then impact. Krillin crashed through something glass and liquid, tumbling through water that tasted of salt and chlorine. His instincts kicked in immediately. He righted himself mid-submersion, oriented toward the surface, and burst upward with enough force to send a geyser of water 10 feet into the air. He landed in a crouch on marble flooring, water streaming off his orange gi, surrounded by shattered glass and flopping fish. A massive aquarium, easily 50 feet long, now had a Krillin-sized hole in its side. Emergency alarms blared. People screamed. "What the hell?" Krillin muttered, standing up and looking around. This definitely wasn't the lookout. It wasn't anywhere on Earth he recognized. The architecture was all wrong, too modern, too sterile, too corporate. Enormous screens covered the walls displaying a logo he'd never seen, a stylized V in white and blue. "Sir, you need to stay where you are." A security guard rushed toward him, hand on his weapon. "Do not move. This is private property." Krillin raised his hands in a placating gesture, water still dripping from his bald head. "Hey, sorry about the aquarium. This wasn't intentional. I'm a little lost. Can you tell me what planet this is?" The guard stopped, confused. "What planet? What are you high? You just destroyed $50,000 worth of." "Help, someone help." The scream cut through the chaos. Krillin's head snapped toward the sound, his martial artist instincts immediately assessing the tone. Genuine terror, not surprise or anger. His Kai senses expanded outward, reading the energy signatures around him. Something felt asterisk wrong. He blurred into motion, moving faster than the security guard could track, following the disturbance. He phased through a service door, down a corridor, and emerged into what looked like a loading area behind a large auditorium. A young man with brown hair stood frozen in shock, staring at something on the ground. A girl, early 20s, blonde, lay motionless on the concrete, her body positioned at an unnatural angle. Blood pooled beneath her head. Standing over her was a man in a blue superhero costume with lightning bolt designs. He looked panicked, glancing around frantically. Oh God, oh shit," the speedster muttered. Nobody saw, I can fix this, I can." "What did you do?" Krillin's voice was quiet, but it carried an edge that made the speedster spin around. "Who the stay back, this is a restricted area." A-Train's eyes darted between Krillin and the young man with brown hair. "Both of you didn't see anything, understand." Krillin walked forward slowly, his expression hardening. He'd seen death before, too much of it. But this was different. This wasn't a battle. This wasn't warriors dying honorably in combat. This was a girl who'd been killed by accident and a man in a hero costume trying to cover it up. "She's dead," the brown-haired young man whispered, his voice breaking. "Robin, you killed Robin." "It was an accident," A-Train snapped. "She stepped into the street, I was running, I couldn't stop. It's not my fault." Krillin knelt beside the girl, checking for a pulse he knew wouldn't be there. His jaw tightened. When he looked up at A-Train, his eyes held the weight of someone who'd fought monsters across the universe. "An accident," Krillin said slowly. "Fine, accidents happen, but you're trying to hide it instead of getting help, instead of calling an ambulance, instead of taking responsibility." A-Train's panic shifted toward aggression. "Look, short stuff, I don't know who you are, but you need to mind your own business. Do you have any idea who I'm with? I'm A-Train. I'm one of the 7. I'm a hero." "A hero?" Krillin stood up, and despite being several inches shorter than A-Train, his presence seemed to fill the loading dock. Where I come from, heroes take responsibility for their mistakes. They don't leave bodies in alleys and threaten witnesses. Huey, A-Train said, turning to the young man, your girlfriend's death was a tragedy. We'll make sure her family is taken care of. Vought International is very generous with compensation for accidental. Compensation, Huey's voice cracked. You're talking about asterisk money. The sound of multiple footsteps echoed down the corridor. Vought security was converging on their position, along with what sounded like heavier footfalls. A-Train's confidence returned. Backup's here. Last chance, Baldy. Walk away, forget you saw anything, and maybe we let you leave without charges. Krillin's response was to cross his arms. No. Your funeral, A-Train smirked, then vibrated his molecules in that characteristic speedster way. I'll deal with you in half a... He moved. Krillin's hand shot out, catching A-Train by the throat mid-acceleration. The speedster's eyes went wide as he realized he'd been frozen in place as easily as if he'd run into a brick wall. Krillin hadn't even looked like he'd exerted effort. You're fast, Krillin said calmly, but I've trained with people who can move faster than you can think. Sit down. He released A-Train and tapped him once on the chest, a gentle push by Krillin's standards. A-Train flew backward 20 feet, slamming into a dumpster hard enough to dent the metal. He groaned, the wind knocked out of him. The security team rounded the corner, weapons drawn. Leading them was a massive figure in black tactical armor, black noir, silent and imposing. Hands on your head, the lead security officer shouted. Get on the ground now. Krillin looked at Huey, who was still standing in shock over Robin's body. Get somewhere safe, he said quietly. I'll handle this. Handle what? Huey whispered. They'll kill you. These are sups. These are actual superheroes with powers. Krillin gave him a sad smile. Kid, where I'm from, people with powers is just called Tuesday. Trust me. Get somewhere safe. Black Noir moved first, closing the distance with impressive speed and striking with a combination that would have incapacitated a normal human. Krillin weaved through the attacks with minimal movement, his martial arts training making Black Noir's assault look clumsy by comparison. You're trained, Krillin observed, ducking under a hook. Military style enhanced with whatever gives you powers here, but you're telegraphing every move. He caught Black Noir's wrist, redirected the momentum, and swept the armored soup's legs. Black Noir hit the ground hard. Before he could recover, Krillin pressed 2 fingers to his forehead. Solar flare. Blinding light erupted from Krillin's hand, flooding the entire loading dock. Every security guard and Black Noir himself cried out, covering their eyes. A-Train, just getting back to his feet, was knocked down again by the sensory overload. When the light faded, Krillin was already in the air, hovering 15 feet above the ground with his arms crossed. I don't want to hurt anyone, he called down, but I'm not leaving until someone explains what's going on here. That girl is dead and that speedster killed her. Where I come from, there are consequences for that, even for heroes, especially for heroes. The security team stared up at him in disbelief. Huey's mouth hung open. A-Train looked like he was about to vomit. And from the auditorium, drawn by the commotion, came the sound of more footsteps. Heavy, confident, accompanied by the soft whir of cameras. The rest of the 7 had arrived. Homelander emerged first, his cape billowing dramatically despite the lack of wind, his blue costume pristine and his smile sharp enough to cut glass. Queen Maeve followed, her expression neutral and professional. The Deep came next, looking confused. Starlight, the newest member, brought up the rear, her face showing genuine concern. Well, well, Homelander said, his voice carrying that practiced television-friendly tone. What do we have here? Illegal trespassing, destruction of property, assault on security personnel, and assault on a member of the 7. His eyes locked onto Krillin, and for a moment they glowed faint red. I'd say that's enough for us to intervene, wouldn't you? Krillin studied Homelander with the same analytical gaze he'd once used to assess Frieza, Cell, and Majin Buu. The man radiated confidence, bordering on arrogance. His power level was significant by this world's standards, but nothing compared to what Krillin had faced before. Still, Krillin had learned long ago not to underestimate anyone. "I'm not looking for a fight," he said, descending slowly until he was back on the ground. "But I witnessed a murder, and I'm watching people try to cover it up. If you're really heroes, you should want justice too." Homelander's smile never wavered, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "Justice? Friend, I am justice. I'm Homelander, leader of the Seven, America's greatest hero. And you are?" "Krillin, martial artist from, well, somewhere else apparently." He glanced at Huey, who was still frozen by Robin's body. "That girl was killed by your speedster. Accident or not, he needs to take responsibility." "Oh, he will," Homelander said smoothly. "Vought International takes all incidents seriously. There will be a full investigation, compensation for the family, grief counseling." "That's not justice, that's a settlement." Homelander's smile tightened. "It's how the world works, little man. Now you've caused quite a disruption, destroyed property, assaulted our people. I think it's time you came with us quietly or things get unpleasant." Krillin felt the energy shift in the air. He'd been in enough fights to recognize killing intent when he felt it. These people, these supposed heroes, weren't interested in doing the right thing. They were interested in protecting their image, their brand, their power. It reminded him too much of the tyrants he'd spent his life fighting against. "I'm not going anywhere until someone does something about her," Krillin said, pointing at Robin's body. "At minimum, call an ambulance. Show some basic human decency." "Human decency," Homelander laughed, and it sounded genuine. "You break into our facility, destroy our property, assault our people, and lecture us about decency. You know what I think?" He floated up slightly, hovering at Krillin's eye level. "I think you're one of those anti-soup terrorists we've been hearing about. I think you're dangerous, and I think I need to neutralize you before you hurt anyone else." "Don't," Queen Maeve said quietly. "Homelander, we don't know what he's capable of." "Please look at him. He's 5'0" and bald. What's he going to do?" Krillin sighed. He'd really hoped this would go differently. Last chance. Do the right thing. Help that girl's boyfriend. Face the consequences. Show me that heroes in this world actually mean something. Homelander's eyes began to glow bright red. "How about I show you what happens to people who threaten the Seven instead?" Heat vision lanced out, twin beams of superheated energy capable of cutting through steel. Krillin didn't move. He simply raised one hand, palm out, and caught the beams against his skin. The energy dissipated harmlessly, leaving not even a scorch mark on his orange gi. The loading dock went silent. "That's impossible," the Deep whispered. Homelander's eyes widened. He increased the intensity, pouring more power into his heat vision. The air around the beams shimmered with heat. The concrete beneath them began to glow and crack. Krillin stood unmoved, his expression sad. "I've been hit by energy blasts that could destroy planets," he said quietly. "This tickles." He closed his fist, and the heat vision stopped, absorbed completely into his hand. Then he blurred forward, moving faster than even Homelander could track, and placed his palm against Homelander's chest. A gentle push, but backed by power that had been honed fighting the universe's strongest warriors. Homelander shot backward like a missile, crashing through the loading dock wall, through the corridor beyond, and finally slamming into the exterior wall of Vought Tower hard enough to leave a spiderweb crack in the reinforced concrete. The remaining members of the Seven stared in shock. Krillin turned to them, his voice firm but not hostile. "I don't want to fight you, any of you, but if you're going to call yourselves heroes, start acting like it. That girl deserves better. Her boyfriend deserves better. Everyone watching deserves better." He looked at Starlight, who seemed the most shaken by what she'd witnessed. "Are you really okay with this? With covering up deaths? With protecting killers?" Starlight opened her mouth, closed it, then finally whispered, "No, no, I'm not." "Annie," Queen Maeve started, but Starlight cut her off. "She's right there, Maeve, dead. And we were just going to, what? Write a check and move on." Tears formed in Starlight's eyes. "This isn't what I signed up for." Homelander emerged from the hole in the wall, his costume torn, his hair disheveled, his expression murderous. "You have no idea what you just did," he snarled. "I'm the strongest being on this planet. I am a god, and you just humiliated me in front of." "You're not a god," Krillin interrupted calmly. "You're just strong. There's a difference. Real gods don't need to tell people they're gods. They don't throw tantrums when someone stands up to them. They definitely don't cover up murders to protect their reputation." Homelander's fists clenched. "I'm going to kill you." "No, you're not." Krillin's voice held absolute certainty. "Because deep down, you know you can't. You just threw your best attack at me and I didn't even flinch. Your heat vision. I've tanked blasts from beings who could destroy solar systems. Your strength. I've wrestled with people who could juggle moons. Your speed. I've trained with someone who can move faster than instant teleportation." He stepped forward, and despite Homelander's superior size and power by this world's standards, he instinctively took a step back. "So here's what's going to happen," Krillin said. "You're going to help that young man with his girlfriend's body. You're going to let proper authorities investigate. You're going to face whatever consequences come from this. And if you don't, if any of you don't, I'm going to make it my personal mission to show this world what real heroes look like." "You're threatening us," Homelander's voice rose. "You're threatening the Seven. I'm giving you a choice. Be the heroes you pretend to be, or I'll expose you for what you really are." Krillin's expression softened slightly. "Look, I get it. You're powerful. You're used to being the strongest people around. But power without responsibility isn't heroism. It's tyranny. And I've spent my entire life fighting tyrants." Sirens wailed in the distance. Real police responding to the commotion. Huey had finally moved, pulling out his phone with shaking hands, clearly calling for help. Queen Maeve looked between Krillin and Homelander, then made a decision. "He's right," she said quietly. "This has gone too far. Annie's right. We need to." "Shut up, Maeve," Homelander snapped. "We don't take orders from." "Then take advice from someone who's trying to help you." Krillin's voice was gentle but firm. "I didn't come here to destroy you. I don't even know where here is, but I know right from wrong, and this," he gestured at Robin's body. "This is wrong. You know it. They know it." He pointed at Starlight and Maeve. "So do the right thing while you still can." The standoff lasted another 10 seconds, an eternity in combat time. Then Homelander made his choice. He turned and flew straight up, disappearing into the sky with a sonic boom that shattered windows across 3 blocks. Queen Maeve let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. "You just made the most dangerous enemy on the planet." "Won't be the first time," Krillin said. He walked over to Huey, who was still on his phone with emergency services. "Hey, I'm sorry about your girlfriend. I'm sorry I couldn't save her. But I promise you, if these people won't give you justice, I'll help you find it." Huey looked up at him with red-rimmed eyes. Who are you?" "Just a guy who learned a long time ago that with great power comes great responsibility," Krillin said. He placed a hand on Huey's shoulder. "You're not alone in this. Okay." The police arrived 3 minutes later. Paramedics confirmed what everyone already knew: Robin Campbell was dead on arrival. A train had disappeared during the confusion. Black Noir retreated with the security team. Starlight stayed, giving her statement, tears streaming down her face. And Krillin stayed too, answering questions he barely understood, in a world he didn't recognize, committed to a cause that had found him by accident. Because that's what heroes do, even when they're very, very far from home. If you're enjoying this epic crossover of Krillin bringing real heroism to the boys' corrupt world, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell icon. We're just getting started. Next up, Krillin meets the boys and things are about to get insane. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when Earth's strongest human teams up with a group of vigilantes who have been waiting their whole lives for someone who can actually challenge Vought. Subscribe now, drop a comment telling me what you think Krillin should do to Homelander, and let's continue this story. The police precinct smelled like burnt coffee, stale sweat, and bureaucratic despair. Krillin sat in an interrogation room that was too small, too gray, and too depressing for someone who just watched a young woman die. The metal chair creaked under his weight, not because he was heavy, but because it was cheap. Two detectives sat across from him. The older one, Detective Ramirez, had the weathered look of someone who'd seen too much. The younger one, Detective Chen, kept glancing at his notepad like the answers might materialize if he stared hard enough. "So let me get this straight," Ramirez said, rubbing his temples. "You're telling me you're from another dimension. You arrived here by accident through some kind of teleportation mishap. You crashed into the Deep's personal aquarium at Vought Tower. You witnessed A-Train kill Robin Campbell. You assaulted multiple Vought security personnel and 2 members of the Seven. And you claim to have special abilities that allowed you to fly, shoot energy from your hands." Krillin nodded patiently. "That's accurate, yes. And you have no identification, no passport, no driver's license, no social security number, no birth certificate, nothing." "Correct. Those things don't exist where I'm from, at least not for everyone." Chen leaned forward. "Mr. Krillin, that's your full name, just Krillin." "Just Krillin. Where I'm from, surnames aren't always common. My wife's name is Android 18, if that helps establish a pattern." Both detectives exchanged glances. "Your wife is an android," Ramirez said flatly. "Well, technically she's a cyborg, human base, mechanical enhancements, but she prefers android because it sounds cooler." Krillin smiled slightly at the memory. "She's probably worried sick right now. I was supposed to be gone for an hour, not however long I've been here." "Mr. Krillin," Chen said carefully, "are you experiencing any mental distress? Hallucinations, delusions? We can get you evaluated." "I'm not crazy." Krillin's voice remained calm but firm. "I know how this sounds. If someone told me this story back home, I'd probably think they were insane too, but it's the truth. I can prove it if you'll let me." "Prove it how?" Ramirez asked. Krillin held up one finger. A small ball of golden Kai energy formed at the tip, glowing softly in the fluorescent light of the interrogation room. Both detectives jumped back, Chen's hand instinctively reaching for his sidearm. "It's perfectly safe," Krillin said, letting the energy dissipate. "That's Kai life energy. Where I'm from, martial artists learn to manipulate it. Use it for attack, defense, flight, sensing other people's energy. It's as natural as breathing once you learn how." The door to the interrogation room burst open. A tall woman in a sharp business suit strode in, flanked by 2 lawyers and what appeared to be a Vought PR representative. "This interview is over," the woman announced. "Detectives, my name is Ashley Barrett, Senior Vice President of Hero Management at Vought International. My client." "Client?" Ramirez interrupted. "This man assaulted your people." "A misunderstanding that Vought is willing to overlook given the extraordinary circumstances." Ashley's smile was professional and completely empty of warmth. Mr. Krillin was clearly disoriented after his accident. "We're prepared to cover all damages, medical expenses for our injured personnel, and provide Mr. Krillin with comprehensive support services, housing, documentation, employment, while he adjusts to his new situation." Krillin stood up slowly. "I don't want anything from Vought." Ashley's smile never wavered. "Mr. Krillin, you're in a very precarious legal position. No documentation, no identity, wanted for questioning regarding multiple felonies. Vought can make all of that go away. We help people like you all the time, individuals with special abilities who need assistance integrating into society." "People like me," Krillin's eyes narrowed. You mean people you can control, people you can turn into your corporate products like the Seven. That's a very cynical interpretation of. I watched one of your heroes kill a girl and try to cover it up. Your leader attacked me when I asked for basic accountability. I'm not interested in anything Vought is selling. One of the lawyers stepped forward. Mr. Krillin, let me be very clear. Without Vought's assistance, you will be arrested, detained, and likely deported, though we're not sure where you'd be deported to given your unique circumstances. You'll spend months, possibly years, in legal limbo, or you can accept our generous offer and... The lights in the interrogation room flickered, then died completely. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in dim red. An alarm blared somewhere in the building. What the hell? Chen muttered, reaching for his radio. The door opened again, more forcefully this time. A man with a dark coat and wilder hair strode in, followed by a younger guy with brown hair, Huey, the boyfriend from the loading dock. Right then, the man in the coat said in a thick British accent, "Time to fuck off, Vought. This one's with us." Ashley's eyes widened. "Butcher, what are you doing here?" "Rescuing our new friend from your corporate bollocks, ain't I?" Billy Butcher grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Krillin, mate, you want to stay here and get processed by these wankers, or do you fancy a proper conversation with people who actually give a shit about what you saw?" Ramirez stood up. "Mr. Butcher, you can't just..." "Oh, but I can, detective. See, we got a lovely little insurance policy. All that footage from Vought Tower, the bit where A-Train kills an innocent girl and tries to cover it up, where Homelander attacks a witness. That's all backed up in about 17 different locations. Anything happens to us or our new mate here and it goes public." Butcher looked at Ashley. "Right tragic for Vought's share price, that would be." Ashley's professional composure cracked slightly. "You're bluffing. We have the only copies of..." "You had the only copies." Huey spoke up for the first time, his voice steadier than it had been at the loading dock. "I uploaded everything to the cloud before your people could stop me. Sorry about your luck." Krillin looked between Butcher and Huey, his Kai senses reading their emotional states. Anger, grief, determination, but also something else. Hope, maybe. They were trying to save him, but they were also clearly operating on the edge of something dangerous. "If I leave with you," Krillin said carefully, "these detectives aren't going to get in trouble, are they?" Ramirez snorted. "Kid, we're already in trouble just by having you in this room. Vought's going to bury us in paperwork and legal motions regardless. Might as well make it worth something." "There you go," Butcher said. "Proper heroes, these detectives. Actually care about justice and all that shite, unlike the cunts in capes." He looked at Ashley. "We're leaving. You try to stop us and I start uploading. We clear." Ashley's jaw clenched. She pulled out her phone, typed something quickly, then looked up. "You have 48 hours before Vought's legal team crushes you. Use them wisely." "Oh, we will, love, we will." Butcher gestured for Krillin to follow. The martial artist hesitated for only a moment, then nodded to the detectives and walked out. Huey fell in beside him as they moved through the darkened police station. Someone had clearly sabotaged the electrical system to create this opportunity. "How did you?" Krillin started to ask. "Made of ours is good with electronics," Butcher interrupted. "Right useful in situations like this. Now shut up and keep walking until we're clear." They emerged into an underground parking garage where a battered van waited, engine running. A large black man sat in the driver's seat. Another man with a scruffy beard and accent sat in the passenger seat, and a young Asian woman with wild eyes perched in the back. "Everyone in," Butcher ordered. "Marvin, drive like the fucking wind." The van peeled out of the garage with a screech of tires. Krillin found himself wedged between Huey and the Asian woman, who was studying him with unnerving intensity. "So," Butcher said, turning around in the passenger seat to face Krillin, "welcome to the boys. We're the poor bastards who actually fight Vought and their super-powered wankers. That's driving mother's milk he prefers. Frenchie's up front with me. The lovely lady givin' you the murder eyes is Kimiko. She don't talk, but she's a right sweetheart once you get to know her. And you've met Huey." "Hi," Huey said weakly. "Thanks for, back at the loading dock, for staying, for not letting them just sweep Robin under the rug." Krillin's expression softened. "I'm sorry I couldn't do more, if I'd arrived even a few seconds earlier." "Don't," Huey said. "Please don't. I've been doing that all day. If I'd walked faster, if I'd suggested a different route, if I'd held her hand so she couldn't step into the street, it doesn't help." They drove in silence for a few minutes, taking random turns, clearly trying to make sure they weren't followed. Finally, pulled into another underground garage, this one attached to what looked like an abandoned dry cleaning business. "Right," Butcher said, climbing out of the van. "Let's have ourselves a proper chat, shall we?" The hideout was exactly what Krillin expected from a vigilante group, cramped, cluttered with surveillance equipment, walls covered in photos and strings connecting evidence like some conspiracy theorist's fever dream. But unlike conspiracy theorists, these people had actual proof. Photographs of the seven in compromising positions, financial documents showing Vought's money trails, medical reports on Compound V's effects. And front and center, a wall dedicated to Homelander, with prime target scrawled above it in red marker. Krillin studied the wall while Butcher poured himself a drink, whiskey, from the smell, and the others settled into various positions around the room. Kimiko continued to watch him like a predator assessing potential prey or ally. "So," Butcher said, taking a long sip, "Huey tells me you're from another dimension, that you can fly, shoot energy from your hands, and you bitch-slapped Homelander through a wall. That about right?" "More or less," Krillin confirmed, "though I describe it as a defensive push rather than a bitch slap. Defensive push that sent the world's strongest suit flying like a rag doll. Brilliant," Butcher grinned. "Tell me, Krillin, you got a problem with bullies?" "Yes." "You got a problem with people who abuse their power?" "Yes." "You got a problem with corporate arseholes who manufacture superheroes like they're fucking action figures, inject bobbies with experimental drugs, and cover up murder, rape, and extortion on an industrial scale?" Krillin's eyes hardened. "What?" Butcher gestured at the walls. "Welcome to the real world, mate. The world where Vought International controls everything, where superheroes are just products with good marketing, where Compound V, the drug that gives people powers, gets injected into bobbies without consent, turning them into experiments, where the Seven and every other soup team commits crimes with impunity because Vought owns the media, the politicians, and the justice system." "That's," Krillin trailed off, his mind racing, "that's basically the Red Ribbon Army, or Frieza's Empire, or the Saiyans before they reformed." "I don't know what any of those things are," Butcher said. "But if they're evil bastards who need killing, then yeah, probably similar." Spoke up from where he was reviewing footage on a laptop. "We've been fighting Vought for years, trying to expose them, trying to bring them down. But they're too big, too powerful, too connected. Every time we get close, they crush us." "Until today," Frenchie added, his French accent thick. "Today we have something new. We have footage of Homelander attacking a witness, of A-Train killing someone and running, of Vought trying to cover it up. And we have you, someone who can actually stand up to them." "I'm not a weapon," Krillin said quietly. "Didn't say you were," Butcher replied. "But you're something they've never dealt with before, a proper hero. Someone with real power who can't be bought, threatened, or killed. That scares them, and when they're scared, they make mistakes." Krillin walked over to the wall, studying the evidence more closely. Photos of civilian casualties labeled as collateral damage. Documents showing Vought's lobbying efforts to avoid suit regulation. Medical records of Compound V test subjects, including children, who died during the process. His fists clenched. "Where I come from," Krillin said slowly, I'm considered one of the weaker fighters. I'm a human among gods and aliens who can destroy planets with a thought. But I kept training, kept fighting, because someone had to stand up for the people who couldn't fight back. Someone had to be the hero for normal people. He turned to face the boys. This compound V, you said they injected into Bobby's. Yeah, Huey said. Without consent. Parents don't even know most of the time. Vought has doctors on their payroll who administer it during routine checkups. Most kids don't develop powers. Some die. The ones who do develop powers get recruited or monitored depending on how useful they are. That's disgusting. Krillin's voice was flat, emotionless, the tone of someone containing rage. Where I'm from, there were people called androids. Humans kidnapped and forcibly modified by a mad scientist. One of them became my wife after we helped her break free. I know what it's like to see people treated as experiments. As property, it's wrong. It's always wrong. So you'll help us? Butcher asked. I'll help you expose the truth, Krillin clarified. I'll help you bring them to justice, but I'm not an executioner. If we do this, we do it the right way. We gather evidence. We build a case. We let the legal system handle it. Butcher laughed bitterly. The legal system. Mate, the legal system is owned by Vought. There is no right way when the system is rigged. Then we unrig it. Krillin's voice held absolute conviction. I've seen empires fall. I've watched tyrants crumble. It's possible, but it has to be done right, or you're just replacing one kind of tyranny with another. Pretty words, Butcher said. But words don't stop Homelander from lasering people in half. No, Krillin agreed, but I can. The room went silent. Even Kimiko stopped her restless movement, focusing entirely on Krillin. You're serious, MM said. You really think you can take on Homelander? I know I can. There was no arrogance in Krillin's voice, just simple fact. I've fought people who make Homelander look like a schoolyard bully. I'm not saying it would be easy, but yes, I can beat him if I have to. The question is, should I? Yes, Butcher said immediately. Maybe not, MM countered. We kill Homelander, we're murderers. We lose any moral high ground. Vought paints us as terrorists, and everything we've worked for dies with our credibility. MM's right, Huey said quietly. We have to be better than them. Otherwise, what's the point? Butcher looked like he wanted to argue, but Frenchie cut in. What if we do not kill, but we neutralize? We show the world that Homelander is not invincible. We break their symbol. Then we release all evidence while they are weak. Krillin nodded slowly. That could work. Homelander's power isn't just physical, it's psychological. People fear him because they think he's unstoppable. If I beat him publicly, non-lethally, it breaks that illusion. It shows the world that sups can be held accountable. And how do you plan to make that happen? Butcher asked. Homelander doesn't exactly take appointments for our skickings. We don't have to arrange it, Krillin said, a plan forming in his mind. Based on what I saw today, Homelander's ego is massive. He won't let the fact that I embarrassed him slide. He'll come looking for a rematch, probably sooner rather than later. And when he does, MM asked, I make sure there are cameras, lots of cameras, and I show the world exactly what kind of hero he really is. Kimiko suddenly moved, pulling out a tablet and typing rapidly. She turned it to show Krillin. On the screen was security footage from Vought Tower, him catching Homelander's heat vision and pushing him through the wall. The video had been downloaded directly from Vaught's servers. You already have footage, Krillin said, impressed. Kimiko nodded, then typed more. The tablet's text-to-speech activated. More footage needed, public location, undeniable proof. Smart, Krillin said. He looked at Butcher. If I do this, if I help you take down Vought and their corrupted heroes, I need something from you in return. Here it comes, Butcher muttered. What do you want? Money, power, your own soup team? Information. Krillin pulled out the small orange gi badge that had stayed pinned to his uniform through everything. The kanji character on it glowed faintly with residual kai. I need to find a way home, which means I need to understand how dimensions and space-time work in this universe. If Vought has been experimenting with Compound V for decades, maybe they've researched other things too. Teleportation, dimensional travel, anything that could help me get back to my family. The room was quiet for a moment. "That's it?" Huey asked. "You'll help us fight the most powerful corporation on the planet, face off against literal superheroes, risk your life against Homelander, just for information about getting home." Krillin smiled softly. "My wife is probably tearing apart our house looking for clues about where I went. My daughter is probably terrified. My friends, people who can blow up planets, are probably searching every corner of our universe trying to find me. Yeah, I'll help you because it's the right thing to do, but my priority is getting back to them. That okay with you?" Butcher studied Krillin for a long moment, then extended his hand. "Deal. We help you find a way home, you help us burn Vought to the ground. Metaphorically speaking, of course." "Metaphorically," Krillin agreed, shaking his hand. "Right then," Butcher said, clapping his hands together. "Let's talk strategy. Vaught's got facilities all over the city. Labs, storage units, data centers. If they're researching anything dimensional, it'll be buried deep in classified files. Which means we need access to their systems," finished. "Which means infiltration. Which is bloody dangerous," Frenchie added. "Vought security is not just guns and cameras. They have sups on payroll. Telepaths, sensors, people who can detect powers." "Can they detect Kai?" Krillin asked. Everyone looked at him blankly. "The energy I use," Krillin explained. "It's not the same as your Compound V powers. It's life force, not a chemical enhancement. If their sensors are calibrated to detect Compound V signatures, they might not pick me up at all." "Well, that's fucking convenient," Butcher said. "All right, we test that theory tomorrow. There's a Compound V distribution facility in Queens. Small, lightly guarded, but connected to Vaught's main network. We hit it, Krillin goes in, grabs what data he can, gets out. If their sensors don't spot him, we know we've got an advantage." "And if they do spot him?" Huey asked nervously. Krillin cracked his knuckles. "Then I improvise." They spent the next 3 hours planning. Pulled up blueprints of the facility. Somehow, the boys had access to architectural records for half of Vaught's properties. Frenchie detailed the security systems. Butcher outlined escape routes. Huey nervously suggested about 40 different ways the plan could go wrong. Through it all, Krillin absorbed information like a sponge. He'd fought in intergalactic tournaments, defended Earth from cosmic threats, and trained in the room of spirit and time. But this was different. This was tactical infiltration, espionage, the kind of work that required patience and planning rather than overwhelming force. It reminded him of the old days, before he could destroy mountains with a thought, when victory required strategy and teamwork. Around midnight, called it. "All right, we all need sleep. Big day tomorrow. Krillin, you can take the cot in the back room. It's not much, but..." "It's perfect," Krillin said. "Thank you, all of you, for trusting me." "Don't thank us yet," Butcher said. "You haven't seen how fucked things can get when you poke Vought with a stick." "I'll take my chances." As the others settled into their various sleeping arrangements, apparently they all crashed here most nights, Huey pulled Krillin aside. "Hey," he said quietly. "Earlier, at the police station, you said if you'd arrived a few seconds earlier you might have saved Robin. Can you really move that fast?" "Yeah," Krillin admitted. "I could have caught her before A-Train hit her. I could have stopped the whole thing. But you didn't know she was in danger until it was too late." "No." "Then it's not your fault." Huey's eyes were red-rimmed but clear. "I've spent all day thinking about what-ifs. What if I'd done this differently? What if I'd been faster, smarter, better? But the only person responsible for Robin's death is A-Train. Not you, not me, him." Krillin placed a hand on Huey's shoulder. "Your girlfriend would be proud of you, standing up to Vought, fighting for justice. That takes real courage. I'm terrified, Huey admitted. These are superheroes. They can do things normal people can't. How are we supposed to win? The same way David beat Goliath, Krillin said with a small smile. Strategy, courage, and a really good slingshot. You've got all three, plus now you've got me. A bald guy from another dimension who can punch through walls. Technically, I'm more of a Kai blast through mountains guy, but close enough. Huey laughed, a short, surprised bark that seemed to shock him. Thanks, I needed that. Get some sleep, Krillin said. Tomorrow we start fighting back. Krillin lay on the cot in the back room, staring at the water-stained ceiling. The sounds of the city filtered through the walls, sirens, traffic, the occasional shout. So different from his Earth, yet somehow fundamentally the same. He pressed 2 fingers to his forehead, trying to sense Goku's Kai signature, or Gohan's, or anyone from home. Nothing. Whatever dimensional barrier separated him from his universe was absolute. Android 18 was probably furious with him. Marin would be asking where Daddy went. His friends would be mobilizing, using the Dragon Balls to wish for information, asking Wise or Beerus or anyone who might know something about dimensional travel. I'll get back to you, Krillin whispered into the darkness. I promise, but first I'm going to help these people. Because that's what you taught me, Goku. That's what being a hero means. You help people, even when it's hard, even when you're afraid, even when you're very, very far from home. Somewhere across the city in Vought Tower's penthouse suite, Homelander stood at the window, staring out at the New York skyline. His reflection showed a god in red, white, and blue. But inside, he felt something he'd never experienced before. Fear. That short, bald man had caught his heat vision like it was nothing, had pushed him, asterisk him, Homelander, the strongest being on the planet, through a wall like he was a child throwing a tantrum, had looked at him not with awe or fear, but with disappointment. It was intolerable, unacceptable, impossible. And yet it had happened. Homelander's fists clenched. He would find that man. He would make him suffer. He would show the world that nobody made Homelander look weak. But a small voice in the back of his mind whispered a question he couldn't quite silence. What if you can't beat him? What if he's stronger than you? For the first time in his life, Homelander didn't have an answer. And that terrified him more than anything. The Compound V distribution facility in Queens looked like any other warehouse from the outside. Gray concrete, security fencing, a few cameras, minimal foot traffic. The kind of place designed to be forgettable, invisible, just another building in an industrial park that nobody looked at twice. Inside, it was worth approximately $3 billion. Right, Butcher whispered, crouched behind a dumpster across the street with Krillin, and Frenchie. Huey and Kimiko were positioned at alternate exits in case things went sideways. Security changes shifts at 600, that's our window. Krillin goes in, accesses the main terminal in the administrative office, 2nd floor, northwest corner, downloads everything he can onto these. He handed Krillin 3 USB drives, then gets out before anyone notices. And if someone notices, Krillin asked, then you do that floaty energy ball thing and scare the piss out of them. But don't kill anyone unless you absolutely have to. We need plausible deniability. Krillin nodded, studying the building with his Kai senses extended. He could feel the life forces inside, 17 humans, all normal power levels except for one that read slightly higher. There's someone in there who's enhanced, not as strong as the 7, but definitely not baseline human. That'll be the Soup Guard, confirmed, checking his tablet. According to our intel, Vought stations 1 powered individual at each facility. This one's probably a B-lister, someone with enhanced strength or durability, just enough to handle break-ins or robberies. Can you take them? Frenchie asked. Krillin gave him a look. Right, stupid question. The man who bitch-slapped Homelander can probably handle a B-lister. The security guards at the front gate were in the middle of shift change. The night crew exhausted and ready to leave. The day crew still half asleep with coffee. It was a 30-second window of distraction. Krillin moved. To the boys, he simply vanished from behind the dumpster. One moment there, the next gone. No sound, no disturbance, just absence. "Christ," Butcher muttered. "I hate it when they can do that." Krillin materialized on the roof of the facility, his movement too fast for the security cameras to track. He'd learned this technique from Goku years ago. Not quite instant transmission, but rapid movement combined with Kai suppression that made him effectively invisible to normal detection. He placed 2 fingers against the roof access door. A tiny pulse of Kai, carefully controlled, and the electronic lock simply stopped working. The door clicked open. Inside, the facility was exactly what Krillin expected from an evil pharmaceutical corporation. Sterile white corridors, harsh fluorescent lighting, the smell of chemicals and antiseptic. He moved silently through the second-floor hallway, his bare feet making no sound on the linoleum. His Kai senses tracked the enhanced guard, currently on the ground floor, walking a patrol route. The other humans were scattered throughout the building. Lab technicians running overnight experiments, a few administrative workers processing paperwork, maintenance staff. None of them were combatants, just people doing their jobs, probably unaware of the full scope of what Vought was doing. Krillin felt a pang of sympathy. He'd been in their position once, working for someone who turned out to be evil, not realizing the larger picture until it was too late. The Red Ribbon Army had employed thousands of people, and most of them were just trying to feed their families. The administrative office was exactly where Butcher said it would be. Krillin slipped inside, closing the door silently behind him. The main terminal sat on a desk, surrounded by filing cabinets and motivational posters that would have been depressing, even if they weren't hanging in a building that manufactured superpowers for profit. He sat down at the computer. The login screen prompted for credentials. Krillin pulled out his phone, a burner that Frenchie had given him, and texted, "At terminal, need password." The response came back in seconds, "Check under keyboard." Krillin lifted the keyboard. A sticky note with V0 at 2024 written on it. He texted back, seriously. "Corporate security is shit," Frenchie replied. "Always is." Krillin logged in and inserted the first USB drive. The interface was unfamiliar. This world's technology was similar to his Earth's but different in subtle ways. But the basic principles were the same. He navigated to the file directory and started copying everything marked classified or research division. Files began transferring: compound V formulas, test subject records, distribution networks, financial records showing payments to politicians, judges, media executives, everything the boys would need to build their case. And then Krillin saw it. A folder labeled Dimensional Research Project Gateway. His heart rate quickened. He opened it. Inside were dozens of documents detailing Vaught's attempts to access parallel dimensions, theoretical physics papers, failed experiments, something about transdimensional compound V variants that could theoretically grant powers beyond normal spacetime limitations. But most importantly, schematics for a device called the Gateway Generator, located in a facility labeled Godolkin University Research Campus. Krillin copied everything, his mind racing. This was it. This was how he could get home. The enhanced guard's Kai signature suddenly spiked. He was moving faster, ascending the stairs. Someone had noticed the security breach. Krillin pocketed the USB drives and stood up just as the office door burst open. The soup guard was young, maybe mid-20s, with the kind of build that suggested compound V had enhanced his strength significantly. He wore tactical gear and had his hand on a weapon that looked like it fired some kind of energy rounds. "Freeze," he shouted, Hands where I can see them. Krillin raised his hand slowly. I don't want to hurt you. You're breaking into a secure Vought facility. You're the one who should be worried about getting hurt. The guard's confidence was touching, really. He genuinely believed he could handle this situation. What's your name? Krillin asked. The question caught the guard off balance. What? Your name? I'm Krillin. You are. That's not relevant. You're under arrest for. Just making conversation, Krillin said gently. Because I'm about to leave, and I'd prefer to do it without hurting you. But I need to know if you're going to force me to defend myself. The guard's finger moved toward the trigger. I said freeze. Krillin sighed. Sorry about this. He moved, not at full speed, that would have been overkill, but fast enough that the guard's enhanced perception couldn't track it. One moment Krillin was across the room with his hands up, the next he was behind the guard, pressing 2 fingers against the base of his skull. Pressure point technique, Krillin said as the guard's eyes rolled back and he collapsed, unconscious. You'll wake up in a few minutes with a headache. Nothing permanent. Tell your supervisors to get better security. He caught the guard before he hit the ground, laid him down gently, then walked to the window. 3 seconds to assess the drop, 2 stories, nothing serious. He opened the window and jumped. Krillin landed in the parking lot with barely a sound. Rolled to disperse momentum, he didn't really need to disperse, and sprinted toward the extraction point where the boys were waiting. Alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Lights flooded the parking lot. Automated defenses activated, turrets emerging from hidden panels, tracking his movement. Oh, come on, Krillin muttered as energy rounds began firing at him. He wove between the shots easily, then thrust both hands forward. Ki. A concentrated burst of Ki erupted from his palms, not aimed at the turrets but at the ground in front of them. Concrete exploded upward, creating a dust cloud that obscured the targeting systems. By the time the dust cleared, Krillin was gone. He vaulted the security fence without touching it, landed on the other side, and found the boys exactly where they'd said they'd be. In the van, engine running, Butcher in the driver's seat looking both impressed and annoyed. Get in, Butcher shouted. Krillin dove through the open side door. Kimiko slammed it shut behind him, and Butcher floored the accelerator. The van peeled out, tires screaming, just as Vought security vehicles began pouring out of the facility. Did you get it? MM asked urgently. Krillin held up the USB drives. Everything, including something called Project Gateway. They've been researching dimensional travel. No shit, Butcher glanced at him in the rearview mirror. That's your ticket home. Maybe. The files mention a research campus at Godolkin University. That's where the actual equipment is. Godolkin, Huey said. That's the superhero college, where they train young sups. Security there is going to be insane. Then we'll have to be smart about it, Krillin said. He looked at the USB drives in his hand. But first, let's see what else we got. If we're going to take down Vought, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. They spent the rest of the morning in the hideout, parsing through the stolen data. What they found was worse than any of them had imagined. Compound V test subjects numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Children injected without consent. Failure rates approaching 60%. Deaths covered up as SIDS, accidents, mysterious illnesses. The successful test subjects, the ones who developed powers, were monitored, categorized, and recruited or eliminated depending on their usefulness to Vought's corporate interests. Jesus Christ, MM whispered, staring at a spreadsheet listing dead children by age and compound V dosage. They're genociding bobbies to make superheroes. And these are just the domestic trials, Frenchie added, scrolling through international data. They have programs in 47 countries. Africa, Southeast Asia, South America, anywhere regulations are weak and governments are corrupt. Huey looked like he was going to be sick. How is this even possible? How has nobody stopped this? Because they own everything, Butcher said flatly. Media, politicians, law enforcement. Anyone who gets close gets paid off or disappeared. That's why we have to do this ourselves. Krillin was reading through the Project Gateway files on a separate laptop. His expression grew darker with each page. "This is sick," he said quietly. They weren't trying to explore other dimensions for science. They were trying to find dimensional variants of compound V versions that could grant even more powerful abilities. They wanted to create subs who could warp reality, manipulate time, access infinite energy. "Did it work?" Butcher asked. "No, every test failed catastrophically. Several researchers died when dimensional rifts became unstable. They shut the project down 3 years ago and buried it." Krillin looked up. "But the equipment still exists. At Godalkin. If I can access it, I might be able to stabilize a rift and create a pathway home." "So we go to Godalkin," Huey said. "When?" "Not yet," interjected. "We go in unprepared, we get caught, and everything we've worked for dies with us. We need a plan. We need to understand what we're up against." "We also need to address the elephant in the room," Butcher said, turning to Krillin. "Homelander. He's not going to just let yesterday slide. You embarrassed him, made him look weak. He's going to come after you." "I know," Krillin said. "And when he does, we need to be ready. Not just to fight him off, but to use it. We need footage. Undeniable proof that subs can be held accountable, that they're not invincible." "You want me to fight Homelander in public," Krillin said. "It wasn't a question." "I want you to beat him in public," Butcher corrected. "Show the world that their precious God King can bleed. Break the myth. Then we release all this data while Vought is scrambling to do damage control." Krillin was quiet for a moment. "That's a good strategy, but there's a problem. If I beat Homelander too badly, I might kill him. I'm a lot stronger than he is. I've been holding back my entire life because my Earth, is fragile. One wrong move and I could destroy a city. Against someone like Homelander who's actually durable, it would be easy to hit too hard." "So don't kill him," said. "Humiliate him, break his arms, his legs, whatever, but leave him alive to face justice." "And if he tries to kill civilians to force my hand?" Krillin asked. "If he threatens innocents to make me back off?" The room went silent. It was a very real possibility. Homelander was known for his lack of restraint when angry. "Then you stop him," Huey said quietly. "However you have to. We're not asking you to let people die to preserve some moral high ground. We're asking you to be the hero these people need. The real hero, not the corporate product." Krillin nodded slowly. "Okay, so we set a trap. Somewhere public, lots of cameras, but also where I can control the battlefield. Minimize risk to civilians." "I have an idea," Frenchie said, pulling up a map on his tablet. "The Believe Expo. It's Vought's annual superhero convention. Happens in 3 days at the Javits Center. Thousands of attendees, hundreds of cameras, and Homelander is scheduled to give the keynote speech." "He won't be able to resist," Butcher said, a slow smile spreading across his face. "You show up there, challenge him publicly, and he'll have to respond. His ego won't let him back down in front of his fans." "It's risky," warned. "Lots of civilians in the crossfire." "Which is why I'll draw him outside," Krillin said. "Challenge him, get him angry enough to follow me, then take the fight somewhere less populated. Maybe the river or an empty construction site." "You'll need an entrance that gets his attention," Huey said. "Something that makes ignoring you impossible." Krillin thought for a moment, then smiled. "I think I have an idea." 3 days later, the Believe Expo was in full swing. The Javits Center was packed with fans in costume, families with children, corporate sponsors, and media coverage from every major network. The 7 were making appearances throughout the day: photo ops, panel discussions, merchandise signings. And Homelander's keynote speech was scheduled for 2 p.m. in the main hall. The boys were scattered throughout the crowd, dressed as normal attendees. Huey wore a Queen Maeve t-shirt. Frenchie had a ridiculous A-Train costume that made him look like a discount Halloween store explosion. Blended in as security. Kimiko prowled the edges, her predatory instincts masked by cargo pants and a hoodie. Butcher coordinated from the van outside, monitoring police scanners and Vought's private security frequencies. Homelander's en route to the stage, MM's voice crackled through their earpieces. ETA 2 minutes. Krillin, Butcher said. You're up, mate, make it count. Copy that, Krillin replied. He was on the roof of a building 3 blocks away, meditating, gathering his Kai. He'd spent the last 3 days training, practicing control, making sure he could hit hard enough to hurt Homelander but not hard enough to kill him. It was a delicate balance. Below, Homelander entered the main hall to thunderous applause. He waved to the crowd, his smile perfect, his cape flowing dramatically despite the lack of wind. He looked every inch the god he believed himself to be. Thank you, Homelander said into the microphone, his voice amplified throughout the hall. Thank you so much. It's so great to be here with all of you, the real heroes, the fans who make everything we do possible. The crowd ate it up. Children screamed his name. Parents held up phones to record. Corporate executives beamed from VIP sections. Homelander continued his speech, talking about responsibility, justice, the American way. All the usual platitudes delivered with practiced charisma. Then the building shook. Not violently, just enough to make the chandeliers sway, to make the crowd murmur in confusion. The lights flickered once, twice. Homelander stopped mid-sentence, his enhanced hearing picking up something the crowd couldn't yet perceive. His expression hardened. Then the wall exploded. Not the whole wall, that would have killed dozens of people. Just a section, precisely controlled, the debris falling safely away from the crowd. And through the hole, floating in midair with his arms crossed, was Krillin. He'd powered up just enough to make his Kai visible, a faint golden aura that flickered around his body like flames. His orange gi was pristine, his expression calm. Homelander, Krillin said, his voice carrying through the stunned silence. We have unfinished business. The crowd erupted into chaos. People screamed, ran, pulled out phones to record. Security rushed toward the breach, unsure what to do. Homelander's face went through several expressions in rapid succession: surprise, recognition, rage, and then forced calm as he remembered the cameras. He turned to the crowd with his practiced smile. Everyone remain calm, he announced. This is just a minor disruption. Please proceed to the exits in an orderly fashion. The 7 have this under control. He rose into the air, floating toward Krillin. You, he said, his voice low enough that only Krillin could hear. You have a death wish. I have a problem with murderers who pretend to be heroes, Krillin replied, and I'm here to solve it. You humiliated me, Homelander hissed. You made me look weak in front of the world. Do you have any idea what you've done? I've shown people that you're not a god. You're just a guy with powers who's never faced real consequences. Krillin gestured toward the city skyline. Let's take this somewhere with fewer civilians, unless you're afraid to fight me without hostages. Homelander's eyes literally glowed red with rage. I'm going to rip you apart. Prove it. Krillin shot backward through the hole in the wall, accelerating to supersonic speeds. The sonic boom shattered windows across 3 blocks. Homelander roared and followed, leaving a streak of red and blue across the sky. In the van, Butcher watched the tracking monitor as both signatures moved toward the Hudson River. They're mobile. All units maintain visual on the fight. We need every second recorded. Throughout the city, the boys activated their contingencies. Drones launched from hidden positions. Security cameras were hacked to focus on the developing battle. Live streams started broadcasting to encrypted servers. And in the air above Manhattan, 2 figures clashed with force that made the air itself scream. Homelander hit Krillin with everything he had. a haymaker backed by strength that could lift airplanes. The punch connected with Krillin's crossed arms, and the shockwave shattered windows for 2 blocks. Krillin didn't even budge. "That's your best shot?" Krillin asked. Then he uncrossed his arms and pushed. Homelander flew backward like he'd been hit by a train, tumbling through the air until he stabilized himself half a mile away. His chest ached, his vision blurred for a moment. Nobody had ever hit him that hard. "I've been analyzing your fighting style," Krillin said, closing the distance in an instant. "You're strong and fast, but you have no technique, no training. You just throw your weight around and assume your powers will win." He dodged a wild swing from Homelander. "That works against normal people, against someone who actually knows how to fight. You're predictable." Homelander fired his heat vision. Full power, sustained, enough to cut through steel like butter. Krillin weaved through the beams with casual grace, then cupped his hands at his side. "Ka me." "What are you?" Homelander started to ask. "Huh. Me." Blue energy gathered between Krillin's hands, growing brighter, more intense. The air around them began to vibrate with power. Homelander's instincts screamed at him to move. "Huh." The Kamehameha wave erupted from Krillin's hands, a column of pure Kai energy that lit up the sky like a second sun. Homelander barely dodged, the beam passing so close it scorched his cape. The energy continued past him and dissipated harmlessly over the Hudson River, but the message was clear. That attack could have killed him. "What the fuck are you?" Homelander screamed. "A martial artist," Krillin replied simply. "Someone who trained his entire life to protect people from monsters like you." Homelander attacked with renewed fury, combining punches with heat vision, using his speed to try to overwhelm Krillin. For 30 seconds, the sky above Manhattan became a light show of energy blasts and sonic booms. Krillin blocked, dodged, parried, his movements economical, precise, perfect. He was reading Homelander's attacks before they happened, his decades of combat experience making every exchange look choreographed. Then Krillin went on offense. He appeared behind Homelander and struck, a palm thrust to the spine that sent Homelander careening into the river. Before Homelander could recover, Krillin was on him, driving him deeper underwater with a barrage of strikes that would have killed a normal person. They broke the surface half a mile downriver, Homelander gasping, Krillin perfectly composed. "Had enough?" Krillin asked. "Never," Homelander snarled. Then his eyes went to the shoreline where dozens of people had gathered to watch the fight. His smile became something ugly. "But maybe your friends will." He shot toward the crowd, hands outstretched. Krillin moved faster. He intercepted Homelander 10 feet from the nearest civilian, catching him by the throat mid-flight. "You don't get to threaten innocents," Krillin said, his voice colder than Homelander had ever heard. "Not while I'm here." He spun and threw Homelander, not toward the river but straight up. Homelander rocketed into the sky, breaching the cloud layer before his momentum stopped. Krillin appeared above him, silhouetted against the sun. Destructo disc. A spinning disc of golden energy materialized in Krillin's hand. He threw it, the disc screaming through the air with enough force to cut through anything. Homelander dodged desperately. The disc passed through his cape, severing it completely. The fabric fluttered away like wounded birds. "Next time," Krillin said, "I aim for your arms, or your legs, or anything else I need to remove to stop you from hurting people. This is your only warning." He descended slowly, leaving Homelander floating alone in the sky, capeless, beaten, humiliated for the second time. And below, on every screen, every phone, every camera, the world watched their greatest hero defeated by a short, bald man in an orange gi. The myth of Homelander's invincibility died that afternoon above the Hudson River. And Krillin, the Earth's strongest human from another dimension, became the first person to prove that SUPs could be held accountable. Did you just see that? Krillin absolutely demolshed Homelander in front of the entire world. The Cape Cut, the Kamehameha, the "you're not a god" speech. If that didn't give you chills, check your pulse. But here's where it gets even better. Vought is about to go into full panic mode, and you need to see what happens next. Smash that subscribe button, because next section is corporate warfare, Starlight's betrayal of Vought, and the moment when an empire starts to crumble. Subscribe now, drop a like, and tell me in the comments, what should Krillin do with the dimensional technology? Let's find out together. The emergency board meeting at Vought Tower began exactly 17 minutes after Krillin threw Homelander through the sky like a rag doll. Stan Edgar sat at the head of the conference table, his expression as composed as ever, while around him, the various department heads and executives descended into barely controlled panic. Stock is down 18% and dropping. Every news network is running the footage on loop. Twitter is calling him Bald Jesus, and there are already memes. Merchandising wants to know if we should pull all Homelander products. Stan Edgar raised one hand. Silence fell immediately. "Thank you," he said calmly. "Now, let's approach this rationally. Ashley, what's our current public relations situation?" Ashley Barrett looked like she hadn't slept in 3 days, which was accurate. Her tablet shook slightly in her hands. "Complete disaster, sir. The footage of Homelander losing to that man has been viewed over 200 million times in the last hour. Every major network is analyzing it frame by frame. Social media is 50-50 split between people celebrating that someone finally stood up to Homelander and people terrified that there's someone stronger than him out there." Legal, Edgar turned to the chief counsel. "We've issued takedown notices to every platform, but they're citing public interest and newsworthiness. The footage is spreading faster than we can contain it. Several senators are already calling for hearings. The SEC has questions about our stock volatility, and we've received notice that the FBI wants to interview Homelander about the incident at the Believe Expo." Edgar nodded slowly, processing. "And where is Homelander now?" "In his quarters," Ashley said nervously. "He's not taking this well, sir. He's destroyed 3 rooms and 2 interns had to be hospitalized after he—" "I don't need details. Just keep him isolated until we can manage this." Edgar steepled his fingers. "And this Krillin, do we have any intelligence on him?" Madeline Stillwell, recently promoted after her successful handling of the Deep scandal, pulled up a file on the main screen. Minimal information. He appeared 3 days ago at Vought Tower claiming to be from another dimension. Police records show no identification, no biometrics match, nothing in any database worldwide. Surveillance footage shows abilities including flight, energy projection, superhuman strength and speed, and what appears to be some kind of energy blade that can cut through Black Noir's armor. "So he's a supe," Edgar said. "We don't think so, sir. We tested the security systems at our Queens facility, the one that was breached yesterday. None of our Compound V sensors detected him. Whatever his abilities are, they're not derived from Compound V." Edgar's eyes narrowed. "That's impossible. Compound V is the only way to grant superhuman abilities." "Apparently not," Stillwell said. "Which means either he's telling the truth about being from another dimension, or there's a power source we don't understand. Either way, he's a threat we can't control through conventional means." "Can we buy him?" Edgar asked. "Everyone has a price." "He specifically refused our offer after the initial incident, told our people, and I quote, 'I've fought emperors who enslaved galaxies. You're just a businessman.' He doesn't seem motivated by money or power." "Then what does he want?" "According to the data he stole from our Queens facility," Stillwell continued, pulling up another screen, "he accessed Project Gateway files, our dimensional research. He's looking for a way home." Edgar was quiet for a long moment. "So he's not here to destroy us. He's just trying to leave and we're in his way. That's our assessment, sir. Then we give him what he wants, facilitate his departure, get him off this earth and out of our problems. Sir, Ashley interjected, he also stole massive amounts of classified data, compound V formulas, test subject records, financial documents. If he shares that with the wrong people. He already has, Edgar interrupted. Intelligence suggests he's working with the boys, Billy Butcher's group. They've been a nuisance for years, but now they have ammunition. He looked around the table. We need a multi-pronged approach. First, we contain the narrative. Homelander didn't lose. He chose not to fight in a populated area to protect civilians. We spin this as heroic restraint. Sir, the footage clearly shows. I don't care what the footage shows. We control the narrative, not the other way around. Second, we locate this Krillin and make him an offer he can't refuse. We help him get home. He gives us the stolen data and agrees to a non-disclosure agreement. Third, we accelerate our contingency plans for Homelander. If he's compromised as our primary asset, we need alternatives ready. Alternatives, Stillwell asked carefully. We have 63 SUPs in development with comparable power levels. It's time to fast-track their training, and if necessary. Edgar's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. We terminate Homelander and replace him with someone more manageable. The room went silent. Nobody wanted to say it out loud, but they all knew Homelander had become a liability. Sir, Ashley said nervously, if we move against Homelander, he'll know. He's paranoid, unstable, and now publicly humiliated. If he finds out we're planning to replace him, then we do it quietly and quickly. Edgar stood. I want solutions on my desk by end of business today. Find Krillin, spin the narrative, prepare contingencies. We didn't build this company by letting setbacks destroy us. We adapt, we overcome, we win. Understood. Chorus of yes, sir, around the table. Good. Meeting adjourned. In Homelander's penthouse suite, the most powerful man on Earth sat in the ruins of his living room, staring at his phone. The video played on loop. Again and again, that short, bald man caught his heat vision, dodged his attacks, threw him around like a child. The comment section was even worse. At Superhero Fan 2024, ***, holy shit, Homelander got his ass kicked. At Truth Seeker, ***, finally someone stands up to these Vought puppets. At Scared Citizen, ***, if Homelander can't protect us, what are we even paying for? At Meme Lord 420, ***, bald Jesus versus discount Superman, fight of the century, ***. Homelander's grip tightened. The phone screen cracked, then shattered completely. He stood and walked to the mirror. His reflection stared back. The same perfect face, the same perfect hair, the same godlike physique that had been engineered in a laboratory to be flawless. But his cape was gone, cut off by that energy disk. He looked diminished, human. I'm not human, Homelander whispered to his reflection. I'm not, I'm better, I'm stronger, I'm. A knock at the door. Homelander's jaw clenched. Geo away. The door opened anyway. Queen Maeve walked in, her expression carefully neutral. She'd changed out of her costume into civilian clothes, jeans, leather jacket, the armor she wore when she wanted to be Margaret, not Maeve. We need to talk, she said. No, we don't. Homelander didn't turn around. Get out. He beat you, Homelander, twice, and the second time was in front of the entire world. Maeve's voice was firm. You can't laser vision your way out of this. You can't threaten it away. You need to accept that there's someone stronger than you. Homelander spun around, and for a moment Maeve saw genuine fear in his eyes before rage covered it. There is nobody stronger than me. He got lucky. He caught me off guard. Next time he'll do the same thing, Maeve interrupted. Because he's not lucky. He's skilled, trained, disciplined, everything you're not. I am a god. You're a lab experiment who's never faced real consequences, Maeve shouted back. You've spent your whole life being told you're perfect, invincible, special, and now someone's showing you that you're not and you can't handle it. Homelander's fists clenched. His eyes began to glow red. Maeve didn't flinch. Go ahead, kill me. Add another body to the pile. Prove that man right about what kind of hero you really are. The glow faded. Homelander looked away. What do you want from me? He asked, and he sounded almost lost. I want you to be better, Maeve said quietly. Not stronger, better. I want you to actually be the hero you pretend to be. Because right now, the only thing standing between Vought's complete collapse is showing the world that we can change, that we can be accountable. Accountable, Homelander laughed bitterly. To who? To him, to the fucking people. Yes, they're insects. They're the reason we have power at all. Maeve walked closer. Homelander, listen to me. This is a turning point. You can either learn from this, become someone worth looking up to, or you can spiral into whatever dark place you're heading toward. But if you choose wrong, Vought will replace you. Edgar will replace you. And that man with the orange gi will be happy to help them do it. Homelander was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, younger, vulnerable, the voice of the boy who'd been raised in a lab instead of the god he'd been marketed as. What if I can't beat him? He whispered. Then don't try to, Maeve said. Find another way, be smarter, be better, be the hero you always wanted to be instead of the weapon Vought made you. She turned to leave but paused at the door. Starlight wants to meet with you. She has ideas about how we move forward. You should listen to her. Starlight's a child who doesn't understand how the world works. No, Maeve said. She's what we should have been before Vought corrupted us. She left, closing the door softly behind her. Homelander stood alone in his destroyed penthouse, looking at the shattered glass, the torn furniture, the holes in the walls where he'd taken out his rage. And for the first time in his life, he wondered if maybe, just maybe, everyone else was right and he was wrong. The boys' hideout was chaos of the productive variety. Every laptop was running, every screen showed different angles of the Homelander fight, and Huey was on his 5th energy drink of the day. Holy shit, he said for the 20th time, watching another angle. You just kicked Homelander's ass like it was nothing. It wasn't nothing, Krillin said modestly. He was sitting cross-legged on the floor, meditating, replenishing his Kai. He's strong. If I were a normal human from this world, he'd be terrifying. But you're not, Butcher said, grinning like Christmas had come early. You're a dimension-hopping superhero who makes their superhero look like a bloody joke. This is the best thing that's ever happened to our operation. MM looked up from his computer. Stock markets in freefall. Vought's down 22% now. Major institutional investors are pulling out. This is actually working. What about the data? Krillin asked. The files I stole, can you use them? Oh, we're using them, Frenchie said, looking more animated than Krillin had ever seen him. We have created a website, completely anonymous, encrypted, untraceable. We are releasing documents slowly. Today, Compound V tests subject records. Tomorrow, financial corruption. Day after, communications showing Vought knew about soup crimes and covered them up. We bleed them slowly, death by 1,000 cuts. They'll try to shut it down, MM warned. Let them try, Frenchie said confidently. I have hosted it across 200 servers in 60 countries. They shut down one, 99 more appear. Like Hydra, but for justice instead of fascism. Kimiko was watching footage of the fight with an expression Krillin was learning to read, approval mixed with curiosity. She typed on her tablet and showed it to him. You could have killed him. Why didn't you? Because killing him wouldn't solve anything, Krillin said. It would just make him a martyr, make Vought the victim. This way, he's alive, humiliated, and has to face what he's done. That's more powerful than death. Wise asterisk Kimiko typed, but if he comes for revenge, then I'll be ready. Huey's phone buzzed. He checked it and his expression changed. "Guys, we have a problem." "Well, maybe not a problem, more like a development." "Spit it out," Butcher said. "Starlight just texted me. She wants to meet. Says she has information about Vought's response to everything. Says she wants to help." The room went silent. "It's a trap," Butcher said immediately. "Maybe," agreed. "Or maybe she's genuine. She's always been the most idealistic of the seven. Joined Vought thinking she'd actually be a hero." "She stood up during the incident at the loading dock," Krillin added. "Said she wasn't okay with covering up deaths. That has to mean something." "Or it means she's a good actress playing the long game," Butcher countered. "We can't trust her." "We can meet her," Huey said. "Somewhere public, neutral ground. If it's a trap, we leave. If she's genuine, we might get an inside source at Vought." Butcher looked at Krillin. "What do you think, mate? Your superpowered senses picking up anything?" "I'd need to meet her to read her Kai," Krillin said. "But my instinct says she's telling the truth. When I saw her at the expo, her emotional energy felt conflicted, guilty, like she knew what Vought was and hated being part of it." "Your instinct versus decades of experience telling me never to trust a soup," Butcher mused. "Tough call." "I'll go," Huey said firmly. "If it's a trap, I'm the most expendable. If she's genuine, I'm the one she's most likely to trust. We've talked before. She knows about Robin." "Absolutely not," said. "You go alone, you get grabbed, and we lose our tech guy." "Then I'll go with him," Krillin offered. "I can sense if we're being ambushed, and if it is a trap, I can get us both out safely." Butcher considered this. "You make a compelling argument. Fine, you two meet Starlight, but the moment it feels wrong, you bail. Clear." "Clear," Huey said. "Crystal," Krillin agreed. They met Starlight at a coffee shop in Brooklyn, far enough from Vought Tower to feel safe, public enough that an ambush would be obvious. Krillin and Huey arrived early, taking a corner booth with clear sightlines to all exits. Krillin extended his Kai senses, reading the emotional signatures around them. Normal civilians, coffee shop staff, a couple having an argument in the corner. Nobody with enhanced abilities except. Starlight walked in, wearing a hoodie and sunglasses that did almost nothing to disguise her. Several customers recognized her immediately but, to their credit, left her alone. She spotted Huey and Krillin, took a deep breath and walked over. "Hi," she said nervously. "Thanks for meeting me. I wasn't sure you would." "We almost didn't," Huey admitted, "but Krillin vouched for you." Starlight looked at Krillin, really looked at him, and he saw recognition in her eyes. "You're the one who fought Homelander, twice." "That's me," Krillin said. "You can call me Krillin, this is." "Huey Campbell," Starlight said softly. "I know, I'm so sorry about your girlfriend, about Robin. What A-Train did was, there's no excuse for it." Huey's jaw tightened. "Then why are you still working with him, with any of them?" "Because I thought I could change things from the inside," Starlight said, sitting down across from them. "I thought if I was good enough, if I proved that real heroes exist, I could inspire others, make the seven better." She laughed bitterly. "I was so naive." Krillin studied her emotional energy, guilt, regret, determination, fear, but no deception. She was telling the truth. "What changed?" he asked gently. "Everything," Starlight said. "Watching A-Train kill someone and get away with it. Watching Vought cover it up. Watching Homelander attack you for asking for basic accountability. And then watching you beat him and realizing that real heroes do exist. They're just not wearing Vought's costumes." She pulled out a tablet from her bag and slid it across the table. "This is everything I could copy from Vought's internal servers. Communications, financial records, video footage from crimes the seven committed that Vought covered up, plans for how they're going to handle the current PR crisis, including contingencies to terminate Homelander if necessary." Huey's eyes widened. "Terminate? You mean kill?" "Edgar doesn't see subs as people," Starlight said. We're assets, products. When we stop being profitable or controllable, we get retired. Homelander's been a walking liability for years. The only reason he's still alive is because the public loves him. But now that you've broken that image, she looked at Krillin. They're scared of you, of what you represent. Which is what? Krillin asked. Accountability, the idea that subs can be held responsible for their actions, that we're not above the law just because we have powers. Starlight's voice was passionate. That's what Vought fears most, not your strength, your principles. So what do you want from us? Huey asked. Help taking them down, Starlight said simply. I'm done being their product. I want to be an actual hero. I want to help you expose what Vought really is. And I want to make sure that when this is over, something better replaces them. Krillin and Huey exchanged glances. How do we know this isn't a setup? Huey asked. That you're not feeding us false information to trap us. You don't, Starlight admitted. All I can do is prove myself through actions, take the data, verify it. If it checks out, then you know I'm serious. Krillin closed his eyes, focusing on her Kai's signature, reading the subtle fluctuations that indicated emotional state. No deception, no hidden aggression, just genuine desire to help, mixed with fear and hope. She's telling the truth, he said quietly. How can you tell? Starlight asked. Where I come from, we can sense people's energy, their life force. It reflects emotional state, intentions, power level. You're scared, but you're genuine. You really want to help. Starlight let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. Thank God. I was worried you'd think I was just another Vought puppet. You might have started as one, Huey said, but you don't have to stay one. We could use someone on the inside. Someone who can warn us about Vought's moves, give us real-time intelligence. That's dangerous, Krillin warned. If they catch you, they won't hesitate to eliminate you. I know, Starlight said, but it's the right thing to do. And honestly, she smiled slightly. After watching you take on Homelander, I figured if a short, bald guy from another dimension can stand up to the most powerful soup on Earth, I can manage some corporate espionage. Short, Krillin said with mock offense. I'll have you know I'm average height where I come from. Sorry, Starlight laughed. Compact, efficient. Better. Huey was scrolling through the tablet, his expression growing darker with each file. Jesus Christ. They have kill orders on file for 12 different subs, including you, Starlight, if you're deemed uncooperative. I know, she said quietly. I found those files last week. That's when I knew I had to do something. Krillin's expression hardened. This ends, all of it. Vought doesn't get to treat people, powered or not, like disposable assets. Agreed, Starlight said. So what's the plan? Before either of them could answer, Krillin's head snapped up. His Kai senses had detected something approaching fast, multiple signatures, all enhanced, moving with military precision. We have company, he said. 7 enhanced individuals closing in from multiple directions. They'll be here in 30 seconds. Shit, Huey said. They followed you. No, Starlight said, checking her phone with dawning horror. They tracked my phone. I'm so sorry. I should have. Not your fault, Krillin said, standing. You two get out the back. I'll handle this. Handle what? Huey asked. The coffee shop door exploded inward. 7 figures entered, all wearing tactical gear with Vought logos, all radiating enhanced power signatures. The leader, a woman with short red hair and electricity crackling around her fists, pointed at Starlight. Target acquired. Starlight, you're coming with us for a disciplinary review. Resist, and we're authorized to use lethal force. On whose authority? Starlight demanded. Stan Edgar's. You're being detained for corporate espionage and conspiracy with known terrorists. The woman's gaze shifted to Krillin. And you, Mr. Krillin, you're to be brought in for questioning regarding the theft of classified Vought property. Krillin crossed his arms. And if I decline? The woman smiled coldly. Then we find out if you're really as strong as you seem. We're the Payback Squad, Vought's second-tier heroes. Not as famous as the Seven, but more than enough to handle one man. Behind her, the other 6 subs took aggressive stances. One had metal skin. Another was phasing in and out of visibility. A third had claws extending from their hands. All of them looked ready for violence. Civilians were screaming, running for exits. Huey had his phone out, already recording. Krillin sighed. I really hoped we could do this without more fighting. Then come quietly, the leader said. Not happening, Starlight said, her fists beginning to glow with light energy. I'm done following orders from people who think murder is acceptable corporate policy. The leader's expression hardened. Then we do this the hard way. Everyone else clear out. This is official Vought business. The remaining civilians fled. Huey ducked behind the counter, and Krillin stepped forward, placing himself between the Payback Squad and Starlight. Last chance, he said calmly. Walk away. Report back to your bosses that you couldn't find us. Nobody has to get hurt. The leader laughed. We're superheroes, we don't lose to. Krillin moved. One moment he was standing still. The next, he was behind the leader, having moved too fast for enhanced perception to track. He tapped her shoulder. She spun around, electricity surging, and found him standing exactly where he'd been before. She looked behind her. Nothing. How did you? I'm faster than you can perceive, Krillin said gently. Stronger than you can imagine. More experienced than your entire team combined. I don't want to hurt you, but I will protect Starlight and I will stop anyone who tries to kidnap her. Your move. The metal-skinned soup charged forward with a roar. Krillin sidestepped effortlessly, stuck out one foot, and the soup tripped, crashing through 3 tables before slamming into the far wall. The invisible soup tried to sneak up from behind. Krillin caught their wrist without looking, twisted gently, and they materialized with a yelp of pain. I can sense your energy, Krillin explained. Invisibility doesn't help. The one with claws lunged. Krillin caught both hands, stopping the claws inches from his face, then pushed. The soup flew backward, crashing into their metal-skinned teammate. In 15 seconds, Krillin had neutralized half the squad without throwing a single serious punch. The leader's confidence evaporated. She pressed a button on her wrist. Payback Squad to Vought command. We need backup. Target is. Krillin appeared beside her and plucked the communicator off her wrist. No, you don't. He crushed it to pieces. Tell Stan Edgar something for me. Tell him that Starlight is under my protection. Any attempt to harm her, intimidate her, or retaliate against her will be met with immediate response. And unlike Homelander, I don't need corporate approval to do the right thing. He looked at the remaining squad members, all of whom were reconsidering their life choices. Now leave while you still can. They left rapidly. When the coffee shop was clear, aside from Huey filming everything with a huge grin, Krillin turned to Starlight. You're officially persona non grata at Vought, he said, which means you need somewhere safe to stay. Come with us. The boys have a hideout. It's not much, but... It's perfect, Starlight said, tears forming in her eyes. Thank you for protecting me, for actually being a hero. I'm just doing what anyone should do, Krillin said. Now come on. We have a lot of work to do and not much time to do it. As they left through the back exit, Huey already uploading the footage to their encrypted servers, Krillin allowed himself a small smile. They had an inside source at Vought. They had proof of corporate assassination orders. They had footage of Vought sending subs to kidnap one of their own. The Empire was cracking, and Krillin was just getting started. Stan Edgar didn't panic. In his 40-year career at Vought International, through market crashes, superhero scandals, and political upheavals, he had maintained the same unflappable composure that had made him one of the most powerful men in America. But watching the footage of his Payback Squad being dismantled in under a minute, by one man made something very close to concern flicker across his face. "Play it again," he said. Ashley Barrett, looking worse than ever, restarted the video. They watched in silence as Krillin moved with speed the cameras could barely capture, neutralizing 7 enhanced individuals without breaking a sweat. The way he caught attacks before they landed, the casual way he threw superhumans through furniture, the absolute confidence in every movement. "He's not even trying," Edgar said quietly. "Watch his face. No strain, no effort. He's holding back significantly." "Should we send more teams?" Ashley asked nervously. "No," Edgar stood, walking to the window overlooking Manhattan. "Sending more subs would just generate more footage of them losing. We need a different approach." "Sir, Starlight has gone completely rogue. She's feeding information to the boys. She knows about Project Gateway, the termination protocols, everything. If she testifies, then we discredit her before she gets the chance." Edgar turned back to Ashley. "Prepare a press conference. We're announcing that Starlight has been suffering from mental health issues, stress, paranoia, the pressure of being a superhero. We offered her help, but she refused and fell in with extremist elements. We're very concerned for her well-being." "That's actually good," Ashley said, making notes. "Sympathy angle makes the boys look like manipulators, gives us cover if she releases anything damaging." "Exactly." Edgar sat back down. "What's Homelander's status?" "Still in his quarters. He's been reviewing the fight footage obsessively. Maeve says he's spiraling, but he hasn't gone full psychotic break yet." "Yet," Edgar repeated. "That's the concern. Homelander's psychological profile has always been fragile. Public humiliation could push him over the edge. We need to keep him stable, or if he becomes too unstable, we need to be ready to implement Protocol Red." Ashley paled. Protocol Red was the code name for Homelander's termination, a plan that had existed in theory for years, but had never been seriously considered because nobody thought they could actually kill him. Until now. "Sir, if we terminate Homelander, won't that just prove the boys' narrative? That we view sups as disposable?" "Only if anyone finds out we did it," Edgar said calmly. "And they won't, because we're going to make it look like an accident, or better yet, like Krillin did it. Turn public opinion against him while eliminating our biggest liability." Ashley struggled for words. "That's actually brilliant. I didn't build this company by being sentimental." Edgar pulled up another file on his tablet. "But Homelander's termination is Plan B. Plan A is bringing Krillin to our side. Everyone has a price. We just haven't offered him the right one yet. He turned down money, power, and immunity from prosecution. Because those are things he doesn't need. But he does need something, a way home, and we have Project Gateway." Edgar smiled thinly. "Schedule a meeting, somewhere neutral, public. I'll negotiate with him personally. If I can't buy him, I'll at least buy time." The boys' hideout had gotten significantly more crowded with Starlight's arrival. She sat at the central table with MM and Frenchie, going through the files she'd brought, while Kimiko watched with predatory interest and Butcher paced like a caged animal. "I don't like it," Butcher said for the 5th time. "Edgar wanting a meeting, it's a trap." "Maybe," Krillin said from where he was meditating in the corner. "Or maybe he realizes force won't work and is trying negotiation." "Edgar doesn't negotiate," Butcher countered. "He manipulates. He'll offer you something you want, string you along, and then stab you in the back the moment it's convenient. Then I'll be ready for the stabbing." Krillin opened his eyes. "But I have to at least hear what he's offering. If Vought really does have dimensional technology that can get me home, I need to know about it." "And if it's a trap?" Huey asked. "Then I improvise like I did with the Payback Squad." Krillin stood and stretched. "Besides, he picked a public location, Bryant Park, midday tomorrow, lots of witnesses. He's not stupid enough to try something overt." "He might not try something overt," MM said, looking up from his laptop. "But he'll definitely try something. Edgar's got contingencies for his contingencies. We should have backup in position. Agreed, Krillin said, but at a distance. If Edgar thinks he's being threatened or recorded, he'll shut down. Let me talk to him one-on-one first. If things go south, intervene. Starlight spoke up from the table. I know Edgar. I've sat in on board meetings. He's calculating. Everything he does serves multiple purposes. If he's meeting you publicly, it's not just to negotiate. He's going to be managing optics, shaping narrative, positioning Vought as reasonable while painting you as the unreasonable foreign threat, Krillin finished. Yeah, I get it. Politicians do the same thing where I'm from. Well, when there are politicians, sometimes there are just tyrants who need to be stopped. How often does that happen? Huey asked. More often than you'd think, Krillin said with a slight smile. My Earth has been invaded by aliens at least 8 times that I personally participated in, twice by gods, once by a pink blob that could destroy universes. The room went silent. And you survived all that? Starlight asked quietly. Barely. I've died twice, actually. Got wished back with magic dragon balls. He said it so casually that nobody knew how to respond. The point is, Stan Edgar is smart and dangerous, but he's not the scariest thing I've ever faced. Not even close. Right then, Butcher said. You meet Edgar, see what he's offering. We'll have eyes on you from 3 positions. MM on the north side, Frenchie on the south, Huey in the coffee shop with long-range audio. Kimiko and I will be mobile. Starlight stays here monitoring communications. Why do I have to stay here? Starlight protested. Because you're the most wanted soup in New York right now, Butcher said. Edgar's already spinning narratives about your mental health. You show up anywhere public, Vought grabs you. He's right, Krillin said gently. And we need you here analyzing the data you brought, finding the connections between Vought's crimes, building the case that brings them down legally. Starlight looked like she wanted to argue but nodded. Fine, but I want a comm link so I can hear what Edgar says. Done, MM said. Pulling out earpieces. Everyone gets comms, we stay coordinated. Huey was staring at his phone, his expression troubled. Guys, we have a problem. Actually, multiple problems. He turned his phone screen to show them. News coverage. Every major network was running the same story. Vought announces concern for Starlight's mental health. The 7-member reportedly suffering from extreme stress. Vought offers support as Starlight associates with known terrorist organization. They're already controlling the narrative, MM said grimly. And it gets worse, Huey continued, scrolling. They've announced that Homelander will be giving a public address tomorrow at noon, same time as Edgar's meeting with Krillin. That's not a coincidence, Frenchie said. 2 events splitting attention, classic misdirection. What's Homelander going to say? Krillin asked. Starlight's expression darkened. Knowing him, he'll either try to salvage his image by acting humble and heroic, or he'll completely snap and laser someone on live television. There's no middle ground with him right now. Where's the address? Butcher asked. Vought Tower, Public Plaza. Huey pulled up a map. Right in the heart of Manhattan. If Homelander loses it there, thousands of people could die. Krillin stood. Then we split up. I meet Edgar. Someone monitors Homelander's speech. If he starts killing people, I can be there in seconds. Can you really move that fast? Huey asked. I crossed 3 continents in under 2 minutes once when my daughter was in danger, Krillin said. Manhattan to Bryant Park is nothing. All right, Butcher said. New plan. Krillin meets Edgar. MM, Frenchie, and I monitor from distance. Huey and Starlight watch Homelander's broadcast from here. Kimiko, he looked at the silent woman. You good being rapid response if shit goes sideways at either location. Kimiko nodded, cracking her knuckles. Right, everyone gets some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a long day. Homelander stood in front of the mirror in his dressing room, adjusting his cape. a replacement for the one Krillin had destroyed. His reflection stared back, and he practiced smiling. The smile looked wrong, too forced, too desperate. He tried again. Better, more natural. The smile of America's greatest hero, confident and reassuring. Except he didn't feel confident or reassuring. He felt terrified. The speech was in 12 hours. Stan Edgar had written every word, workshopped it with focus groups, designed it to rehabilitate Homelander's image while positioning Vought as the victim of foreign aggression. I made a tactical decision to minimize civilian casualties. The individual who attacked me represents an unknown threat to American security. Vought and the 7 remain committed to protecting the American people. It was all lies, but lies were what Homelander did best. A knock at the door. Queen Maeve entered without waiting for permission. "You're not going to do it," she said. "Do what?" "Give that speech, follow Edgar's script, pretend everything's fine." Maeve walked over, studying his reflection in the mirror. "You're going to go off script, say something you'll regret, probably kill someone." "I'm not," Homelander started to protest, but Maeve cut him off. "I can see it in your eyes, you're spiraling. You've been obsessing over that fight, over being beaten, over the footage. You're planning something." Homelander was silent. "What is it?" Maeve asked. "Revenge, going after Krillin, attacking the boys." "I'm going to kill him," Homelander said quietly. "Publicly, in front of everyone, prove that I'm still the strongest." "You can't beat him." "I can." Homelander spun around, his eyes glowing red. "I can. I just need to stop holding back. I need to stop caring about collateral damage. I need to." "To what?" "Kill civilians to get to him, destroy half of Manhattan, prove every terrible thing people are saying about you." Maeve grabbed his arm. "Listen to yourself. You've become exactly what they fear, an unstable weapon who's lost control." "I haven't lost control," Homelander said through gritted teeth. "Then prove it. Give the speech. Follow the script. Show the world you're still capable of being a hero instead of a monster." "And what if I'm not?" Homelander's voice cracked. "What if the monster is all I've ever been and everyone's just finally seeing it?" Maeve was quiet for a moment. "Then maybe it's time to stop being what Vought made you and start being what you choose to be." "Profound," Homelander said sarcastically. "Did you get that from a fortune cookie?" "I got it from 12 years of hating myself for being Vought's puppet," Maeve said. "I'm trying to stop you from making the same mistakes I did. But if you're determined to self-destruct, at least have the decency to do it away from innocent people." She left, closing the door hard enough to crack the frame. Homelander stood alone, staring at his reflection. America's greatest hero, the world's most powerful man, a god in human form. He looked like a child wearing his father's clothes, trying desperately to convince himself they fit. Somewhere deep in his mind, a decision crystallized. Tomorrow's speech wasn't going to be about rehabilitation. It was going to be about proving, once and for all, who really had power in this world. Bryant Park at 11:45 a.m. was full of lunch break crowds, office workers eating sandwiches, tourists taking photos, street performers entertaining passers-by. A beautiful spring day in New York, the kind that made you forget the city could be dangerous. Krillin sat on a bench near the fountain, dressed in his orange gi because he literally had no other clothes. He'd offered to borrow something, but Butcher had pointed out that being recognizable was actually an advantage. Anyone watching would see this as a legitimate meeting, not a secret conspiracy. His Kai senses tracked the boys in position around the park. In a building to the north, long-range camera trained on the meeting spot. Frenchie in a coffee shop to the south, computer equipment ready to record and transmit. Huey monitoring from the hideout with starlight. And Kimiko, somewhere mobile, her predatory energy signature weaving through the crowd like a hunting cat. At exactly noon, Stan Edgar arrived. He came alone, no bodyguards, no security detail, just one man in an expensive suit carrying a briefcase. He walked with the confidence of someone who knew he controlled the board, even when he was playing against an opponent who could reduce him to atoms with a thought. "Mr. Krillin," Edgar said, extending his hand. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." Krillin stood and shook his hand. Edgar's grip was firm, professional. His Kai signature read as calm, controlled, with underlying layers of calculation. "Mr. Edgar," Krillin replied, "I have to admit I'm curious what you want to discuss." "May I sit?" "Please." They sat on the bench. Edgar placed the briefcase beside him but didn't open it yet. "I'll be direct," Edgar said. "You're a problem for Vought, not because of your strength, though that's certainly concerning, but because of what you represent: accountability, consequences, the idea that power can be challenged." "Is that a bad thing?" Krillin asked. "For us, yes. Our business model relies on subs being seen as aspirational figures, heroes, gods even. You've shown the world they're just people with powers, fallible, beatable. That's bad for our brand." "Good," Krillin said flatly. Edgar smiled slightly. "You're honest. I appreciate that. So let me be equally honest. I want you gone, not dead. That would create a martyr. I want you back in your own dimension, far away from Earth, never to return. And in exchange, we help you." Edgar opened the briefcase, revealing a tablet and several thick folders. "Project Gateway, our dimensional research. We've spent 8 years and $4 billion trying to access parallel dimensions. We failed, but our failures taught us a great deal. I'm prepared to give you full access to that research, our equipment, and our top scientists. Everything you need to potentially find a way home." Krillin was silent, his mind racing. This was exactly what he needed. The Gateway device could be his ticket back to Android 18, to Marin, to his friends. But "What's the catch?" he asked. "3 conditions," Edgar said, holding up fingers. 1. You return all stolen Vought data and agree to a non-disclosure agreement about everything you've seen. 2. You publicly state that Vought is cooperating with your departure and that you have no concerns about their operations. 3. You leave within 72 hours and never return to this Earth. In Starlight, Krillin asked, "Will face appropriate consequences for corporate espionage and theft of classified materials." "So you want me to abandon someone who chose to do the right thing, lie to the public, and let your criminal organization continue operating unchallenged?" "I prefer to think of it as choosing to go home to your family rather than fighting a battle that isn't yours," Edgar said smoothly. "You don't belong to this world, Mr. Krillin. You have no stake in our politics, our corporate structures, our social contracts. You're a visitor who accidentally landed here. Why not simply go home?" Krillin stared at Edgar for a long moment. "Where I come from, there's a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. One of my best friends taught me that just because a fight isn't yours doesn't mean you can walk away when people need help." "Admirable," Edgar said, "but is it wise? You have a family, a life, a world where you belong. This Earth has 7 billion people. Surely they can solve their own problems without interdimensional intervention." "Can they? When you control the media, the politicians, the legal system, when your superheroes murder people and you cover it up, when you inject bobbies with experimental drugs without consent," Krillin's voice hardened. "I've seen empires like yours before. They don't fall on their own. Someone has to push. Even if it means never seeing your family again." The question hit Krillin like a physical blow. He thought of Android 18's exasperated smile when he did something stupid but brave. Marin's laugh when he flew her around their island home, training sessions with Goku and Gohan, quiet moments with Master Roshi, reminiscing about the old days. "I miss them every second I'm here," Krillin said quietly. "But they taught me to do the right thing, even when it's hard, even when it costs me." Edgar studied him. "You're serious. You'd give up your chance to go home rather than compromise your principles. I'm hoping I don't have to choose, Krillin said. I'm hoping we can find a middle path. You help me get home, I don't reveal your crimes. But Starlight goes free. You stop injecting children with Compound V and you start treating sups like people instead of products. That's not a middle path, Edgar said. That's you winning completely and me getting nothing. You get me leaving your world, Krillin pointed out. That seems valuable to you. Not valuable enough to destroy my company's entire operating model. Edgar closed the briefcase. I'll make you a counteroffer. Work for us. Become a Vought superhero. We'll pay you $10 million a year, give you full access to our dimensional research, and once we've successfully sent you home, you never speak about what happened here. Everyone wins. Except the children being experimented on. Except the civilians your sups murder. Except everyone counting on heroes to actually be heroic. Those people are not your responsibility. Maybe not, Krillin agreed, but I'm making them my responsibility because that's what heroes do. Edgar stood. Then we have nothing more to discuss. I'll be honest with you, Mr. Krillin. I hoped you'd be reasonable, but since you insist on being a hero, let me explain what happens next. Vought will declare you a foreign threat to American security. We'll mobilize every resource we have against you. We'll turn public opinion against you. And we'll make you an example of what happens when someone challenges our authority. I look forward to it, Krillin said, standing as well. Because every time you come at me, I'll beat you. And every time I beat you, more people will realize Vought is corrupt. You can't win this, Edgar. Not with force, not with money, not with manipulation. The more you fight, the faster you lose. We'll see. Edgar picked up his briefcase. One more thing. Homelander is giving a speech right now at Vought Tower. He's unstable. If something happens, if he hurts people, that blood is on your hands. You broke him. No, Krillin said coldly. You broke him. You created a weapon and pretended it was a hero. I just showed everyone what he really was, what you made him. Edgar walked away without another word. In Krillin's earpiece, Huey's panicked voice crackled. Guys, Homelander's speech, something's wrong. He's going off script. He's, oh God, he's. The audio cut out with a burst of static. Krillin's Kai senses expanded, reaching across Manhattan. He felt it immediately. Homelander's energy signature spiking with rage, fear, and murderous intent. Around him, multiple life forces began winking out. He was killing people. Homelander snapped, Krillin said into his comm. I'm going now. He bent his knees and launched into the air, not caring about the crowds below who gasped and pointed at the flying man. He accelerated to supersonic speeds, covering the distance to Vought Tower in seconds. Behind him, Stan Edgar watched him go and pulled out his phone. Protocol Red is authorized, he said calmly. Initiate Homelander termination sequence. Blame it on Krillin. Homelander stood on the stage in Vought Tower's public plaza, surrounded by bodies. He hadn't meant for it to happen. He'd started his speech exactly as written, apologizing for the misunderstanding, expressing commitment to heroism, reassuring the public that he was still their protector. And then someone in the crowd had shouted, "You got your ass kicked by Bald Jesus." Laughter from hundreds of people, laughter directed at him, at Homelander, at the strongest man on Earth. His heat vision had activated before he consciously decided to use it. The heckler died first, bisected at the waist. Then the people next to him, caught in the sweep of red energy. Then more, as Homelander's rage overwhelmed his control and he lashed out at everyone who'd ever doubted him, laughed at him, feared him. Security tried to intervene. He lasered them too. Sups from the Seven arrived, Black Noir A-Train the Deep. He threw them aside like toys. The plaza was a massacre, hundreds dead or dying. And Homelander stood in the center, his costume splattered with blood, his eyes still glowing red, laughing and crying at the same time. I'm a god, he screamed to the sky. I'm a god, you can't kill me, you can't stop me, Krillin landed in front of him. The plaza fell silent, except for the moans of the wounded. You need to stop, Krillin said quietly. Homelander's laugh was broken, hysterical. Or what? You'll beat me again, humiliate me, show everyone I'm weak. His eyes blazed brighter. I'm not weak, I'm the strongest, and I'll prove it by killing you. You're not thinking clearly, Krillin said, his eyes taking in the carnage. Dozens dead, more injured, all because one man had never learned to control his power or his rage. This isn't you. This is what Vought made you, but you can still choose to be better. Better, Homelander's voice cracked. There is no better, there's only strong and weak, and I'm strong. He fired his heat vision at full power. Krillin didn't dodge. He didn't block. He caught the beams with his bare hands and redirected them harmlessly into the sky. No, Krillin said sadly. You're broken, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry Vought did this to you, but I can't let you hurt anyone else. Then kill me, Homelander screamed. If you're so much stronger, just kill me. End it, because I can't. He collapsed to his knees, the rage burning out as quickly as it had ignited, leaving only emptiness. I can't stop, he whispered. I'm a weapon. That's all I've ever been, and weapons don't get to retire. They get used until they break. Krillin knelt in front of him. You're not a weapon. You're a person who was treated like a weapon. There's a difference. How do you know? Because I know someone like you. Krillin thought of Android 18, a person who'd been turned into a weapon by Dr. Jiro, who'd found her humanity through choice. She was created to kill, modified against her will, treated as property, but she chose to be more than what her creator intended. You can make that same choice. I've killed hundreds of people, Homelander said numbly. Just now, today, and before, so many before. I know. And you're going to let me live, just walk away. No, Krillin said. You're going to face justice, real justice. You're going to stand trial, face the families of everyone you've hurt. Take responsibility for every crime you've committed. And then, maybe, if you're genuine about changing, you'll spend the rest of your life making amends. Homelander looked up, and for the first time in years, his eyes weren't glowing. They were just human, scared, lost. I don't know how to do that, he admitted. Then I'll teach you, Krillin said, because that's what heroes do. We don't just stop villains, we help broken people become whole. Sirens filled the air. Police, ambulances, more Vought security converging on the plaza. Above them, news helicopters captured everything. Homelander on his knees, surrounded by corpses, with Krillin standing over him offering not violence but compassion. In his hideout, Butcher watched the live feed with an expression of disbelief. He's not going to kill him, Butcher said. That absolute madman is going to try to redeem the fucking psychopath. Maybe that's what we need, Starlight said quietly. Not more killing, actual justice. Justice, Butcher spat. There's no justice for what Homelander's done, only revenge. Then be grateful Krillin's a better person than either of us, MM said. On the screen, Krillin helped Homelander to his feet and spoke to the arriving police, cooperating fully, allowing them to take custody of the fallen hero. And for the first time in years, Homelander didn't resist. He went quietly. 3 months later, the world looked different. Krillin stood on the roof of what used to be Vought Tower, now seized by federal authorities and repurposed as the headquarters for the newly formed Superhuman Affairs Commission. The building's logo had been stripped away, replaced with an American flag and the simple letters, SAC. Below, Manhattan hummed with its usual chaos, but the chaos felt different now, purposeful, like a city waking from a long nightmare and remembering what it meant to be awake. Coffee, Starlight Annie, as she insisted people call her now, emerged from the stairwell carrying 2 mugs. She ditched the costume entirely, opting for jeans and a simple white shirt. Without the armor and makeup, she looked younger, lighter. Thanks, Krillin said, accepting the mug. How was the testimony? Brutal. 3 hours of senators asking me to detail every crime I witnessed, but necessary. Annie stood beside him, looking out over the city. Maeve testified yesterday. Black Noir the day before. Even A-Train is cooperating, though I think he's just trying to reduce his sentence. And Homelander. Annie was quiet for a moment. He testified 2 weeks ago, confessed to everything. Murders, cover-ups, assaults. The prosecutors wanted the death penalty, but he waived his right to defend himself. Said he deserved whatever punishment they gave him. How much time is he looking at? Life without parole, multiple life sentences actually, 743 counts of murder, hundreds more of assault, conspiracy, obstruction of justice. Annie sipped her coffee. He'll die in prison, and honestly, that's more mercy than he gave his victims. Krillin nodded slowly. He'd visited Homelander once in his cell, a specially designed facility that could contain even his considerable powers. The man he'd found there bore little resemblance to the God King who terrorized New York. Homelander had been quiet, remorseful, and asked only one question. Do you think I can ever be forgiven? Krillin hadn't answered because he didn't know. What about Edgar? Krillin asked. Arrested along with 47 other Vought executives. Charges include conspiracy to commit murder, human experimentation, corporate corruption, obstruction of justice, and about 100 other counts. Annie smiled grimly. Turns out when you lose your ability to buy off prosecutors, the legal system works pretty well. Who knew? And the victims, the children who were injected with Compound V. That's the hard part. Annie's expression darkened. We've identified over 12,000 children in the domestic program alone. International numbers are still being calculated. Most of them don't have powers. Compound V failed in their system. But some do, and now we're dealing with teenagers who have abilities they never asked for and trauma from being experimented on. What's being done to help them? The SAC is setting up support programs. Counseling, training, legal protections. We're trying to do it right this time. Treat people with powers like people, not weapons or products. Annie looked at Krillin. Your idea, actually, from one of your meetings with President Santos. Krillin shrugged modestly. Just common sense. Where I'm from, people with power learn control and responsibility, not marketing and brand management. Must be nice, Annie said. Coming from a world where heroes are actually heroes. It's not perfect, Krillin admitted. We've had our share of tyrants and monsters. The difference is when we find them, we stop them. No corporate protection, no media spin, just justice. They stood in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sun begin its descent toward the horizon. I'm going to miss you, Annie said quietly. When you leave, you've been what I wanted to be when I first came to Vought, an actual hero, someone who does the right thing because it's right, not because it's profitable. You're that person too, Krillin said. You always were. You just got caught in a system that tried to corrupt you, but you broke free. That takes real courage. I had help, Annie smiled, from a short, bald guy who can bench press a planet. I keep telling people I'm average height where I come from. And I keep not believing you. Krillin laughed. It felt good to laugh. The past 3 months had been intense, endless testimonies, meetings with government officials, training sessions with young sups who needed to learn control, and long nights helping the boys compile evidence that would stand up in court. But they'd done it. Vought was dismantled. The 7 were disbanded. A new system was being built from the ground up, imperfect, messy, but honest. And now it was time to go home. Speaking of which, Krillin said, Frenchie texted me this morning. He thinks they've finally cracked it. The gateway device. They've stabilized the dimensional field and calculated coordinates that should put me back on my Earth. Annie's smile faltered. Should. Dimensional travel is complicated. There's a chance I end up somewhere else entirely, or nowhere, or scattered across multiple realities. Krillin said it so casually that Annie couldn't tell if he was joking. But the math looks solid. Frenchie's been working with scientists from MIT, Caltech, and CERN. If anyone can figure this out, it's them. When do you leave? Tomorrow morning. They're running final tests on the gateway tonight at Godolkin University. If everything checks out, I go through at dawn. Annie looked like she wanted to say something but couldn't find the words. Finally, she just pulled Krillin into a hug, careful not to squeeze too hard, though against his durability it wouldn't have mattered. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything, for showing us what heroes should be, for not giving up on Homelander when everyone else wanted him dead, for believing this world could be better." Krillin returned the hug. "Thank you for being brave enough to fight your own company, for risking everything to do the right thing. You're going to be an amazing hero, Annie January. This world is lucky to have you." They separated, both wiping their eyes. "Come on," Annie said. "Everyone's waiting at the hideout. Butcher's making dinner, well, Frenchie's making dinner and Butcher's drinking and critiquing everything, and we're having one last night before you leave." "Butcher's okay with me leaving?" Krillin asked as they headed for the stairs. "He pretends he's not sentimental, but I caught him programming a kill switch into the gateway device, just in case that bald cunt needs to come back and save our arses again." His words. Krillin smiled. "I'm going to miss him too, all of you." The hideout had been transformed. Streamers hung from the ceiling, probably Huey's doing. Someone had cooked enough food for a small army, definitely Frenchie's doing. Kimiko had even made a banner that read, "Thanks Bald Jesus," in careful block letters. "Oi, there he is," Butcher called out as Krillin and Annie entered. "The man of the hour, come on, get a drink in you. We're celebrating." "Celebrating what?" Krillin asked. "The complete and total destruction of Vought International," Butcher said with a savage grin. "Stock delisted, assets frozen, executive leadership in prison, Compound V production permanently shut down, everything we fought for accomplished." He raised his glass. "And we couldn't have done it without you, you magnificent short arse." "I'm average height." "We know," everyone chorused. Krillin laughed and accepted a beer from MM. The group settled into comfortable celebration, sharing stories, laughing at jokes, remembering battles won and friends lost. Huey was telling a story about the first time he met Krillin, and he's standing there, completely soaked from crashing through the Deep's aquarium, and he just looks around and asks, "What planet is this?" Like it's the most normal question in the world. "It was a legitimate question," Krillin protested. "Oh, I know," Huey grinned. But the security guard's face, he looked like his brain was short-circuiting. "That security guard is now part of the SAC training program," MM added. "Apparently getting knocked out by an interdimensional martial artist was a good career move." Frenchie raised his glass. "To career-advancing unconsciousness." "That's the worst toast I've ever heard," Annie said, but she was smiling. As the evening wore on, people drifted into smaller conversations. Krillin found himself on the couch with Kimiko, who was showing him pictures on her tablet, before and after shots of Compound V victims receiving treatment, young SUPs learning to control their powers in SAC facilities, communities beginning to heal. She typed, "You did this. You gave us hope." "We all did this," Krillin said. "I just provided the muscle. You provided the courage, the intelligence, the evidence. This was a team effort." "Will you really leave? Stay. Help us build something better." Krillin looked at the tablet, at Kimiko's earnest expression, and felt his heart clench. "I have a family, a daughter who thinks her daddy disappeared, a wife who's probably torn apart the solar system looking for me, friends who are my brothers. I can't abandon them." "I understand. Family is important." Kimiko paused, then typed more. "But you are family here too now. Remember that, always welcome back." "Thank you," Krillin said, and he meant it. Later, Butcher pulled him aside on the balcony. A rusted fire escape that barely qualified as outdoor space. Right, Butcher said, lighting a cigarette. Before you fuck off to your magic Dragon Ball world, I need to say something. I'm listening. I wanted to kill them, all of them. Homelander, Edgar, every soup who ever hurt someone. I wanted blood and revenge, and for them all to suffer the way they made others suffer. Butcher took a long drag. But you showed me something different. That justice can exist without vengeance. That broken people can be held accountable without being destroyed. I don't know if I showed you anything, Krillin said. You were already moving in that direction. You just needed permission to be better than your anger. Profound that. Butcher exhaled smoke into the night air. Point is, you changed us, changed me. And I'm not good at saying thank you, but thank you for being the hero we needed, for being better than we were. He extended his hand. Krillin shook it. Take care of them, Krillin said. All of them. They're good people trying to do good work in a complicated world. Make sure they don't lose sight of why they're fighting. Will do, mate, will do. Butcher flicked his cigarette away. Now get back inside before Frenchie eats all the dessert. Selfish French bastard. Dawn came too quickly. They stood in the central chamber of Godalkin University's physics building, the same facility where Vought had conducted its failed dimensional experiments. But the gateway device had been rebuilt, repurposed, transformed from a weapon into a bridge. The device itself looked like something from a science fiction film, a circular arch 15 feet tall, covered in complex machinery and glowing with blue energy. Frenchie and his team of scientists were making final adjustments, calling out readings that Krillin didn't fully understand. Energy matrix stabilized. Dimensional coordinates locked. Entropy buffers at maximum. Frenchie turned to Krillin, his expression both proud and sad. We are ready. The portal will open to coordinates matching your energy signature when you first arrived. If our calculations are correct, you will emerge in the same location you departed from in your universe. And if the calculations are wrong, Krillin asked, then you appear somewhere random, possibly inside a solid object, and die instantly. Frenchie saw Krillin's expression and quickly added, but there is only a 4% chance of that. Very safe, mostly. 4%, Krillin repeated. Would you prefer we lie and say 0%? Honestly, a little bit, yes. The boys were all present. Butcher, Huey, Kimiko, and Annie, standing in a semicircle around the gateway. They'd said their goodbyes last night, but nobody wanted to miss the actual departure. You got everything? asked. Phone number for emergencies, email addresses. I don't think interdimensional cell service is a thing, Huey pointed out. Then we'll invent it. Frenchie, add that to your project list. Interdimensional telecommunications, right after cold fusion and solving world hunger. Despite the tension, Krillin smiled. He was going to miss this, the banter, the camaraderie, the sense of fighting for something bigger than himself. He looked at each of them in turn. Thank you, all of you, for trusting me, for fighting beside me, for showing me that heroism exists in every world, even when it's buried under corruption and cynicism. Right back at you, short stuff, Butcher said. You showed us that standing up to gods is possible, that accountability matters, that, oh, fuck it. He pulled Krillin into a rough hug. You're a good man. Don't let your magic dragon friends tell you otherwise. One by one, they said their goodbyes. With a firm handshake and a promise to keep building something better. Huey with gratitude for avenging Robin and giving him purpose. Kimiko with a silent embrace and tears she didn't bother hiding. Annie with a reminder that he'd changed her life and she'd never forget it. Frenchie approached last. The portal will remain open for exactly 30 seconds once activated. You must go through within that window or wait 24 hours for the device to recharge. Understood, Krillin said. Also, there may be minor side effects. Nausea, disorientation, temporary memory loss. Frenchie. Complete molecular dissolution. transformation into sentient energy, fusion with alternate timeline versions of yourself. Frenchie. I'm joking, probably joking, mostly joking, Frenchie grinned. You will be fine, and if you are not fine, we will feel very guilty. That's reassuring. Frenchie became serious. You are a hero, Krillin, a true hero, not because of your power, but because of your choice to use it well. Do not forget us when you return home. We will not forget you. I won't, Krillin promised. He walked to the gateway, feeling the energy radiating from it. Not Kai, but something else, something that vibrated at frequencies that felt alien yet familiar. The scientists moved away, giving him space. Activating in 3, 2, 1, mark. The gateway blazed to life. The circular arch filled with swirling blue and white energy, like staring into a vortex of lightning and stars. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. Loose papers flew through the air. The energy signature was massive, unstable, barely contained. Krillin took a deep breath and centered himself. He thought of Android 18's smile, Marin's laugh, training with Goku, quiet evenings on his island home, everything waiting for him on the other side of that portal. But he also thought of this world, the people he was leaving behind, the work still to be done, the promise he'd made to help build something better. If you need me, Krillin called over the roar of the gateway, find a way to contact me. I'll come back. We know you will, Annie called back. Krillin smiled one last time, waved and stepped into the portal. Reality twisted. Colors that had no name streaked past his consciousness. He felt himself being pulled apart and reassembled simultaneously, existing in multiple dimensions at once, experiencing every possible outcome of every possible choice. And then solid ground beneath his feet. Krillin stumbled, caught himself and looked around. He was on the lookout, the floating temple where he and Goku had been training. The familiar white tiles, the ornate architecture, the sense of peaceful elevation above the world. And standing 20 feet away, mid-kata, was Goku. His best friend stopped moving and turned, his expression shifting from concentration to shock to pure joy. Krillin, Goku shouted, rushing over. You're back, we've been looking everywhere. 18 is going to be so relieved. Where did you go? What happened? Are you okay? Krillin looked at his friend, the strongest warrior in the universe, the man who'd saved the world countless times, who'd taught him that power meant nothing without compassion. I'm okay, Krillin said, and he realized he was crying. I'm home. I'm finally home. Goku pulled him into a crushing hug, gentle by his standards, still enough to make Krillin's ribs creak. Tell me everything, Goku said. Where did you end up? Did you have adventures? Did you fight strong opponents? Krillin laughed through his tears. Yeah, Goku, I had adventures. Let me tell you about a world where superheroes were corporate products, where power was abused, and where I learned that even in the darkest places, people will fight for what's right. That sounds amazing. Were they strong? Not really, but they were brave, and sometimes that's more important. As they walked toward the Lookout's main building to contact Android 18, Krillin looked back at the sky one last time. Somewhere, in another dimension, another Earth was building something new, fighting to be better, learning that power required responsibility. And if they ever needed help again, he'd be ready. Because that's what heroes do. In the boys' hideout, they watched the gateway shut down successfully, its energy dissipating into harmless light. He made it, Frenchie said, checking his instruments. Energy signature crossed dimensional threshold and stabilized in target universe. He's home. Good, Butcher said quietly. World lost a hell of a hero today. No, Annie corrected. We gained one, because now we know what real heroism looks like, and we're going to make sure his example lives on. She pulled out her phone and opened a draft post, the first entry in what would become the official blog of the Superhuman Affairs Commission. Today, we say goodbye to someone who changed our world. He wasn't from here. He didn't owe us anything. But when he saw injustice, he fought. When he saw corruption, he exposed it. When he saw a broken man who everyone wanted dead, he offered redemption. His name was Krillin. He taught us that power without accountability is tyranny, that heroes are defined by their choices, not their abilities, that even when the fight seems impossible, standing up for what's right is always worth it. We're going to build something better, a world where SUPs are held accountable, where victims receive justice, where power serves people instead of controlling them. We're going to be worthy of the example he set. Thank you, Krillin, for everything. She posted it. Within minutes, it had 10,000 shares. By the end of the day, 10 million. The world was changing, slowly, imperfectly, but changing. And somewhere, in another dimension, a short, bald martial artist was hugging his wife and daughter, telling them about his adventure, and feeling grateful that even in the darkest places, hope could flourish. 6 months after Krillin returned home, Android 18 found him on their island, staring at the sunset with a distant expression. "You're thinking about them again," she said, sitting beside him. "Yeah," Krillin admitted. "I wonder how they're doing, if the new system is working, if people are actually being held accountable." "You could always go back," 18 pointed out. "That French scientist gave you the dimensional coordinates. Goku could use instant transmission to drop you off." "I thought about it," Krillin said, "but they don't need me anymore. They needed a catalyst, someone to show them change was possible. Now they have to do the work themselves." "You think they will?" "I know they will, because they're not fighting for revenge anymore. They're fighting to build something better. That's the difference between destruction and creation." Marin ran up from the beach, covered in sand and laughing. "Daddy, Mommy, look what I built." She pointed at an elaborate sandcastle with towers and walls and a moat. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Krillin said, scooping her up. "Can you teach me to fly tomorrow?" Marin asked. "I want to fly like you." "Maybe when you're a little older," 18 said. "But Daddy flies all the time, and he says heroes need to know how to fly." Krillin and 18 exchanged glances. Their daughter had been asking a lot of questions about heroes lately. What made someone heroic? Whether having power meant you had to help people. Whether doing the right thing was worth it when it was hard. "Tell you what," Krillin said. "Tomorrow I'll teach you something even more important than flying. I'll teach you that being a hero isn't about how strong you are or what powers you have. It's about choosing to help people, even when it's difficult, even when nobody's watching, even when you don't get anything in return." "That sounds boring," Marin said with 7-year-old honesty. Krillin laughed. "Maybe a little, but it's also the most important thing in the world." As the sun set over their island home, Krillin thought about another world, another sunset, another group of people fighting for justice. He hoped they were doing well. He hoped the systems they built were fair. He hoped that somewhere, a young Sup was learning to control their powers with compassion instead of fear. And he hoped that if they ever needed help again, they'd find a way to call. Because even though he was home, even though he'd returned to the family he loved, a part of him would always belong to that other Earth. The world where Vought fell, where accountability won, where ordinary people proved that standing up to gods was possible. The world where the Earth's strongest human taught everyone that true strength comes not from power, but from choosing to use that power wisely. Krillin smiled and held his family close. He was home, and that was enough. For now, we're in the final stretch, everyone. Krillin's about to go home, but not before leaving this world completely transformed. If this story hit you in the feels, if you loved seeing genuine heroism triumph over corporate corruption, if you want more crossover content like this, then subscribe right now. This channel is all about asking, what if, and delivering epic stories that do justice to the characters we love. Hit that subscribe button, Smash the like and drop a comment telling me what crossover you want to see next. Should Krillin visit another universe? Should we bring a different Dragon Ball character to the boys? You decide. Now let's see how this all ends.